Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting the match pretty quickly here. As I wasn't aware that we were starting a little bit early today, but we have our wonderful Black Bot Pirate here to commentate this initial match for us. Over to you, Black.
All right, I am just doing this off of the Twitch stream because I was totally not ready in any way, shape, or form. But Rainbow Wolves is actually starting this out with a double Navy British double Executor, Navy Executor, mega huge blaster rush with 10 DPS ships. Their Hecate is already dropping into low structure, and they are getting wrecked by Rattlesnakes and Navy Scorpion by Long GG. They are trying their best to get in there as quickly as possible, but they already have lost a Hecate. Really great match to start off with just a big old blaster rush going straight at it. Long GG, I'm guessing, are using cruise rattlesnakes because they warped in at 50. Lots of damage going out. Thorax is almost down. Another Hecate is about to drop here. And Rainbow Wolves hasn't actually started applying anything yet. Not really sure if a blaster rush at this early in the morning is a great idea for a bunch of Europeans and Americans. It does not seem to be doing super well here. They did almost get a rattlesnake into half shield HP. But hey, you know what? I love the idea. That warping at 50 with Long GG was really, really, really smart on their part. Looks like they're trying to Rainbows is trying to clear a little bit of tackle. Long GG, very, very good screening. Those Jackdaws, those Raptors, those Storks, and the Hugin doing God's work as per usual. Their Longitude is doing great target calling here, and they just wiped out the entire bottom line of Rainbow Wolves. Though that Rattlesnake might actually go down, they do still have the big hull tanked blaster ships that you would normally expect to sort of last for a very long time, and they have finally reached the Rattlesnake and have it tackled. I just don't know if they're going to have enough DPS to bring it down in time. The new breaks of Yokin is dropping slowly here, or is it just going through that last little bit of structure? It just shows how powerful those structure tank ships are. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what the strategy here was for Rainbow Wolves, and maybe they're just using a bunch of ships right off the bat so that they don't have to worry about any bans. I think they might have actually been planning on doing a Sleipnir Loki Nighthawk rush, and that entire set did get banned out. So there is that. This this rattlesnake is actually living in like 15% shield right now. I'm wondering if it's just going to survive at the last second here. They are swapping onto the Navy Megathron now. They have taken out pretty much everything except for that last Navy Brutix. And all they took down was a Raptor. They might get this Rattlesnake at the last second here, but not really sure. Really great camera shot there, actually, of that Rattlesnake kind of on fire, burning down through armor now. Going down into structure, Navy Megas have one of the highest hull HPs in the game, so I have a feeling that they will actually live long enough to take out the Rattlesnake. Probably going to be too little too late, though. I'm actually a little surprised that both the Navy Megas have enough DPS to burn through a Rattlesnake just by themselves, which is, pretty impressive. Is a testament to the power of that ship. And I think this is the first hull blaster rush we've seen in this entire tournament. So, maybe there's a reason for it. I don't really know. They are trying to go after a Navy Scorpion now, they being Rainbow Wolves, of a designer. Both of those ships are on it, but that first Navy Mega is in 50% hull, which is never a good place to be, even if you are a hull tank battleship. Just so everybody is aware, this was starting about 30 minutes early today. I was upstairs about to make coffee, so I just ran downstairs. We hopped on. It's just General and me so far. Hopefully, we can find someone else because that way you don't have to listen to my voice only for 4 to 10 minutes straight. The last Navy Megathron of Melinda is dropping. Right now, he's about to hit low structure. He's about to go down. They did almost break through that Navy Scorpion shield. In fact, they might take it down just at the last minute. Once those ships hit armor and hull, they drop quite quickly. But I'm not really seeing it. Melinda's holding on, and there we go. You can see that amazing sort of more modern explosion effect. Slow motion. Looks fantastic. But he does die. And Rainbow Wolves is just getting cleaned up at this point. It does look like design is catching in the Navy Scorpion, though I guess they're taking the Stork down. I wonder what they're getting him with. Looks like he's just got webbed down. Oh yeah, the Stork's getting finished off by drones, and the Navy Mega trying to burn away. So yeah, it's just fantastic warping on Long GG. The 50k in warping was just disgusting against a blaster rush, and they actually did really really good screening. I think we've seen this entire tournament that Long GG's Hugin usage has been fantastic. Like I said, I'm guessing Rainbow Wolves. It's entirely possible they also didn't know that this started 30 minutes early, since there has been a little bit of miscommunication. But hey, you know what? They showed up with a Navy Megathron Blaster Rush, and it is a best of 3. So because of the banning rules, this doesn't really mean a huge amount, other than that Rainbow Wolves can't bring a Blaster Rush, which we saw was not particularly effective anyways. And I think that, are we going straight from the best of 3? Are we doing the best of 3 first and then the best of 5? Or are we doing the kind of alternating thing, General?
It's the best of 3, so it's the bronze, the third place winners are being decided as a best of 3, and then it's on to the best of 5, which is the grand finale.
Perfect. So I'm guessing it'll be probably about 20 minutes between each match.
That, I believe, is the one. Let me have a quick look at schedule here on another tab. Next match is actually scheduled for the actual original broadcasted time in about 25 minutes time from now.
All right. Hopefully we can find someone else, because while I am willing to fill time, I don't really want to do it by myself.
You're good. So, I believe Suetonia is due quite imminently as well, so no doubt we'll be joined him for the next game. Yeah. The amusing thing of the US time zone person is here, while it's actually good for European time zone people.
It shows something about my schedule. As I actually woke up like naturally about 15 minutes before I planned on, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back to sleep for a little bit. Woke up, went upstairs, was kind of like poking around on my phone, and I see you being like, hey, match starts in 5 minutes. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise.
Run downstairs. All right, Long GG does win, just losing a Rattlesnake and a Raptor to the Blaster Rush. It was a pretty good attempt on Rainbow Wolves, but again, Warpins and comps are super good. I think we're probably going to go to ads for a little bit while I sort my life out and then figure out what's going to go on here. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to the stream.
We'll see you all in a bit.
Hello, guys. Welcome to the Eve Summer Tournament here on EVNT TV. This tournament is being produced by a bunch of our Chinese friends and I think some Australians as well. And EVNT, we're just couch casting this. Like, we're not involved in this. It's very nice to be sitting on the outside looking in, outside pissing in, some might say. But yeah, so this is the grand final today. Before we have the grand final, of course, there is a best of three to decide who goes home with the coveted third place. And right now, we've had one match where Long GG's roaming pals have won that match and taken a 1-0 lead over the Rainbow Wolves. So we're coming up for match 2 in that series pretty soon. So at this point, Long GG has the series point. If they win this match, then they take third place comfortably, and Rainbow Wolves goes home. After that, it will be a best of 5 grand final between Nightmare Skating and the Flight Deck. And of course, I'm joined by none other than Blackbird Pirate and Tonia. How are you guys?
Doing pretty well.
I'm doing fantastic. It is 5:20 a.m. right here. Nice. I basically woke up at about 10 minutes before 5. I was kind of bebopping around and, checked my phone because I believe you were supposed to start in about 10 minutes from now. And I saw that
Fell asleep.
General Stargazer.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah. What's up?
You cut out.
Oh, no.
You just fell asleep.
I'm clicking buttons at 2. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid falling asleep. Yeah, no, I was looking down and I saw General Striker was like, so we're starting in 5 minutes. I was like, oh crap, and I basically ran downstairs and casted a blaster rush. So, which is what we saw last time, which is really weird. So I wonder, I kind of want to find one of the guys from Odin's and see if they also did not know that it was starting at that time. So if anyone from Odin's is in Twitch chat, please respond.
There seemed to be some communication breakdown between the organizers and then the English speaking competitors and us, because General, our wonderful streamer here, was literally just setting things up, getting stuff ready, and they were like, match is starting in 5 minutes, by the way, good luck. And that was it. It was the first thing we knew about it. So we are building this as we go, much like day one of the Anchor Games. But we're looking forward to the next match whenever it happens. I have no clue what the schedule is like. Could be in 20 minutes. Could be in 1 minute. For all I know, they could just suddenly appear here. General, do you know when they might turn up?
Mystery match. It's actually due to start at the same time as the original match was due to begin. So, in 10 minutes time from now, I believe is actually when the scheduled start time is. That will be for match 2 of the best of.
Do you know if there's any difference in prizes between third and fourth place, or is it purely a pride thing?
I believe there is actually. Don't ask me what it is, but I remember the conversation yesterday. I could probably find the forum post. But I believe there is, yes, a significant difference between third and fourth.
It is 10%. So first place is 50% of the total Plex pool, which we have absolutely no idea what that is.
Could be 10 Plex.
It is. It could be 10 Plex. It could be, if you win, you get 5 Plex, which God knows how much that is worth. Second place is 25%. Third place is 10%, and then fourth through 8th is 2.5%. So basically, if you get fourth place, you got the same as getting 8th place, which makes it a participation prize. If you get third place, you get 10%. So it's 4 times as much Plex. Now, I don't know if this Plex is on TQ, if it's on the Chinese server.
I think it's Plex has the same worth. TQ. No, I think
okay, that's not bad then.
Yeah, Plex on the Serenity server is a completely different ballgame because their economy is way different from the TQ server. Like, you can just buy Alliance Tournament prize ships from the New Eden store on there. You're like, oh, I fancy an Adrestia. Cool. That's 20 Plex or whatever. Just buy it from the New Eden store, which is quite wild. So I'm pretty sure this is on TQ. Otherwise, why would Odin's and some of the other teams who are TQ based
be
taking part?
It's all on TQ.
Yeah, okay, good. We don't recognize Serenity as a legitimate tournament server. There's an old meme. There's a Habbo Hotel meme just appeared in Twitch chat. I didn't realize we were throwing back to like 2006 here. But yeah, so we apparently saw Blaster Rush. I didn't see it. I was not even in the house at that point because of this early start of the stream. Bart, why don't you take us through how that Blaster Rush did? Who what did they go up against, and how did that match actually play out?
So I actually got the Twitch stream open at 3 seconds before the match started, so I was extremely prepared and ready for it. We saw that Odin's brought. I probably am going to get this wrong. This is off my head. I could always look back, but I think it was 2 Navy Megathrons, like 2 or 3 Navy Brutixes, and then like 3 Hecates and 3 Thoraxes. I think that's what it was. So just like a pure out Hull Blaster Rush with no Logi. And they yeah, they started in at 0, and unfortunately for them, Long GG brought a like Rattlesnake Navy Scorpion setup, and like I said, I didn't get a chance to see if they were heavy missile or cruise. I'm guessing they were cruise, but they've had their entire setup sitting at 50. So sadly, the Blaster Rush was not able to do much. They did take down 1 Rattlesnake, which is pretty good. Long GG did a very, very good job screening all of their all of Odin's big ships, and they did have to basically burn across 50 kilometers of open space just to get into range. So, if the Warpins had been a little different, or if maybe Odin's had started directly on top of them, it could have actually gone Odin's way. It was a really cool idea. But like I said, they just kind of got blind countered, because like, who expects you to bring a Blaster Rush, right? Like, you never are like, oh, they're bringing a Blaster Rush, so we're gonna bring this. No one brings Blaster Rushes anymore. But it was a cool idea. I loved it. Odin's did a good job, with what they had. So they got a Rattlesnake. I liked watching it.
We might get to see more because I see the teams have been moved into local now, and one of the captains has readied up. So I imagine the match will be going underway in the next couple of minutes. This is, as mentioned, match 2 of a best of 3. Long GG has that 1 point already, so Rainbow Wolves, which I believe is Odin Call, need to win this basically. Otherwise, they are guaranteed 4th place. But if they win this, they can push this to the 3rd and final match and try and win that. Remind me, is the banning system of the best of 3 such that if you win with a comp, you can't bring it again?
Correct, yes. So the existing bans were obviously the kind of comp that only the winning side comp is banned. But the actual normal bans for this match is Rainbow Wolves have banned Leshek Vindicator Barghest, and Long GG has banned Loki Nighthawk Sleipnir. So that is the general bans for the match, and then obviously the winner from the last match cannot re-bring the same comp that they just bought.
So that means Long GG can't bring that Rattlesnake comp then.
Exactly.
Oh, we just got the bans.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
So the additional bans now are Loki, Barghest, Rapier on Rainbow Wolves, and Nighthawk, Barghest, Jackdaw on Long GG. Because they both ban the Barghest, the additional ban is the Scalpel.
Yeah, and Long GG banned the Cerberus with their additional ban, so we got a lot of shield rush stuff banned out by the Long GG team, whereas it looks like Odin's Core banned out a lot of long range webs with the Rapier and Loki ban.
They are just starting to land on grid now. Looks like we'll be starting pretty imminently.
Yeah, the not being able to fly any of the ships from the last thing you did makes it really easy to ban out certain things. So if you see, Odin's Call was able to ban out frigate logistics completely on the shield side, which forces Tech 2 logistics of the shield variety or I guess you could technically use Tech 1, but it basically makes you use a lot of points, which I think we're going to see as soon as we switch over here, because I can cheat and look and see what's actually on field already. But I'm pretty excited about this one, and we are seeing the return of the Widow, which is exciting.
And here we are.
Alright, so Odin's Core have bought double Leshak, Balgon, double Magus, double Vexer, double Deacon, and a Skybreaker.
Yeah, it looks like Long Gigi choosing to bring double Widow, Claymore, Scimitar, Blackbird, double Moa, Griffin, Claw. Now we saw, I think Long Gigi brought this Widow comp yesterday actually, uh, and didn't do very well because they were Torp Widows, all damage, no tank, and they just got melted by conveniently the Shack comp. So this looks like a very similar setup.
Yeah, it's almost a mirror match of last time. And they are torpedoes once again, as you see. We zoomed in. If you see the 3 missiles, it is a torp as opposed to a cruise missile, which is just one large girthy missile.
I'm not a fan of this. It didn't work very well last time. The control was good, but as soon as those jams stopped landing, one of those widows just got eviscerated so quickly, and then the damage just dropped off. They couldn't break the deacons because the widows were getting guidance disrupted, I think. So they just couldn't apply to the deacons. And that was pretty much it. Like, they couldn't kill the deacons and they couldn't break the Leshaks under deacon reps. And then when the jam missed, widows just started dying, and it was a clean sweep. So not a fan here of this. Maybe they're trying. They're like, hey, we'll just try bring this comp because Odins have to bring a good comp right now. So if Odins win this, then potentially one of their best comps is banned out for the next match, and Long GG can bring out what they actually wanted to bring this time. So they might be playing it slightly safe, happy to take it to the best of 3. This could work, this comp, but if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world for them, and it does ban out Odin of this Leshak comp.
Yeah, those widows are going to be are able to kind of reset spawns in the shacks. They're going to have to coordinate really well, because if one of the widows bans jams one of the Leshaks, then they're going to have to like swap their jams around like once the Leshaks start spawning up on them. So it's going to be very interesting to see how well coordinated their E-War team is, especially with the Griffin too.
Yeah, the only difference this time is Odin's Call bringing Vexers instead of Arbitrators, which they brought last time. So the Guidance Disruptors, which kind of, I think, really made the Widows unable to apply, maybe not present this time. So I guess there's more of a chance for Long GG and his friends to just plow through Odin's Call with these top Widows, but that remains to be seen. Personally, I'm not optimistic for Long GG here, but I'm willing to be proven wrong. 20 seconds and the match is underway. Countdown has begun.
They do have a really girthy attack bar there, though.
Yeah, that's the thing about those Torp Widows. They just have very, very large DPS numbers, but if you can't apply it because you're being disrupted, or you're trying to shoot a Deacon, for example, like none of that DPS actually being applied. But let's see what happens as the match is underway, and let's see who moves first. Both teams launching drones. The blue team, so Long GG, choosing to burn away from those Leshaks, which is pretty good. You don't want to get near them. Meanwhile, Odin's choosing to barrel in with a Moa to try and get tackle on something as fast as possible.
Yeah, a little bit of a swap on that. The Moa is actually Long GG barreling in onto 2 Leshaks and a Balgorn, which is maybe questionable. I guess we'll see. It depends on how the jams work. The Balgorn is clearly not jammed right now. I think they actually have both Leshaks jammed out because I'm not seeing. Well, no, maybe one of them is. But yeah, that Moa that charged in is probably having some serious cap issues, as I'm seeing a lot of newts sitting directly on it right now. But they are not really applying any damage quite yet. I am starting to see both Leshaks have started shooting at the Moa of Anarisen, so I don't think he's going to live very long. However, so Rainbow was basically made it so that Long GG could not bring any Frigate Logi, which is actually good in this case because it means they have the range on the Scimitar to potentially keep this Moa alive. As I say that, he is dropping quite quickly, and
he's gone. Just got chunked there.
Yep.
Yeah. So that Griffin got a little bit of damage for a while, but he's tanking. The Leshak of Yokan is taking a bunch of damage from those Torp Widows. But it looks like the Deacons right now have it fairly under control. It depends if a couple of lucky jams land on those Deacons. It could the high DPS coming from those Torp Widows could just plow through it. And as an aside, I just noticed that on my overview, the ships in space that are red are the blue team, and the ships in space that are blue are the red team on Fancy, so on the UI, which is very interesting.
Yeah, that's a classic. That's just classic AT stuff. It looks like they're actually switching on to Pony Loki in the Widow, with both Leshaks are starting to spool up on him now. So, and yeah, you're right. They were able to catch Jokin's Leshak pretty well. There's a huge swarm of Reptrones on him. So, unless Long GG is planning on like actually ramming a Widow in there and trying to smart bomb them off, I don't think they have much chance. And the Widow that got close, like Pony Loki got pretty close to him, but now he's hard tackled by a Balgorn and the Leshaks. So we'll see what happens. Actually seen some pretty good usage of the Skybreaker by Tim. He just cleared a bunch of Reptrones off of the Widow of Pony. So
Yeah, I feel
cool
like
shit. I love seeing that.
I feel like you're right in the fact that I mean, it's exactly the thing happened the other day, and they just couldn't break this. So they need to do something different. If they just keep shooting the same ships, then nothing very much different is going to happen. They need to remove those ret bots. There's an absolutely massive cloud of them just hovering around that Leshak. They're moving now to the Vexor of Hodar to try and keep him alive, as the Deacons may be getting jammed because he is dropping, and I don't see much reps landing. Moving those Vexors probably will be a good idea for the Widows, because I imagine that's where the guidance disruption is fit to the Vexors, and that could be really impacting the Widow's ability to apply. But as I say that, one of the Widows, Pony Loki, just took a huge chunk. This is what happened the other day. They started getting chunked and then just vanished.
Yeah, they did have one of the Leshaks jammed out the entire time, so we were just seeing a single Leshak. But now, since both Leshaks are no longer jammed and they're spooled up, we're kind of getting that repeat. So unless they can get some lucky jams off and maybe unspool both of these Leshaks before the next like 3 seconds where they're hitting him extremely hard, I don't think they're gonna be able to live. And there he goes.
There he goes. Yeah. So I mean, look at the size of the control bar on the Rainbow Wolves. There, that is a lot of control. That is all those newts, the webs, the guidance disruptors, just really making it almost impossible for Long GG and the team to apply any of the theoretical torp damage. Like, torp damage is so big. But I mean, I say that though, and they're applying that torp damage fairly well to Melinda 1, so I imagine there's some jams landed on the Deacons for a while and allowed them to start bursting him down. But he is repping now.
Yeah, the rep bots are coming over now too, so he's going to start to go up. I think if they maybe went on him like from the beginning, if they made that swap while Pony was still alive, maybe they could have taken down that Balgon.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it's a good move to try and do it, especially when you spread jams around, because if you swap around, those of the rep bot with the rep bots out can't move those rep bots onto the new target if they're jammed. So the rep bots are stuck in the wrong position. So it can be really powerful. But I think we spoke about this yesterday with this team. They needed to do more target switching and really force the Deacons to move around, force the ret bots to move around and try and break the pilots rather than the ships, because they just don't have the DPS to force their way through two Deacons with all those ret bots lying around as well. And the second Widow is just in low shield. As soon as he goes through that shield, though, he will be gone pretty quickly. The Scimitar's doing his best to keep him alive, but it's just so much DPS from two spilled Leshaks. And I'm pretty sure it's a gun Balgorn as well from last time.
Yeah, the Balgon's also going to make it hard for him to run his hardness all the time as well.
Yeah, it does look like it's it was a gun Balgorn last time. It looks like it's a full
Yeah, I'm just looking.
new Balgorn.
Yeah, it looks like a full new one this time.
Kind of hard to tell because it's on fire right now. But
yeah, I don't see much guns though. I don't see any guns actually on it.
Yeah, the Griffin's actually being soloed off in the corner too, which is always funny to see. He's got a bunch of Acolyte ones taking him down over there. So
yeah, I guess the
poor little
Magus
guy.
just cleaned him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rainbow Wolves basically have this matching control. Look how big their control bar is. Like, they are fully in a good position right now. They just need to not screw up. Second Widow is down. There's now almost no DPS really left on Long GG's team. There's a Claymore and a Moa and kind of maybe 2 Claws worth of DPS. And I mean, you ain't breaking Deacon reps with what you've got there. So it's just 3 minutes 56 seconds of cleanup now for Rainbow Wolves.
I will say it was really incredible Logi piloting on the Rainbow Wolf side. Like 2 Deacons versus 2 Widows, a Blackbird and a Griffin is, there's some serious skills, serious prayers to the RNG gods that you had to do there just to keep everybody up. I mean, they caught the Balgorn in what? I think he was down to about 30% armor. One of the Leshaks was down pretty low for a bit there, and they were just able to kind of keep it going, which always impressive. We didn't see any of the remote sensor boostering there. Maybe the Vexors have some. I need to take a look at that real quick, but I think the Vexors are actually tracking Disruptor Fit. So, that just I don't know, really good Logity piloting. We did see almost this exact same match yesterday with pretty much the exact same result, which makes me wonder, like, is the game plan here that Long GG needed to do was to ban Leshak's? Because I feel like the Leshak is kind of
This is what
the
I was
thing that
thinking.
makes this comp work. Yeah.
Yeah, because Leshak's, Balgorns, Vexers, Deacons, Magus, Skybreaker all now banned for the next match. So perhaps, I mean, it's a strange play. It's not necessarily a daft play. I suppose you can make it work if you really think that your number one comp that you'd want to bring is 50-50 against this comp, and you think they're going to bring this comp, so you bring some trash tier Torp Widow comp, so they ban out what you think might be their best comp, and then you bring your best comp and hope that whatever they've got left is not as good as this one, and you can win comfortably. Like, that could be one strategy. It is risky because you do put them back into the, it's winner takes all next match.
Yeah, which makes me wonder here. So, because of the way this has gone, both sides have the capability of running the ubiquitous shield rush, and I'm wondering if this is going to come down to a shield rush versus a shield rush, which personally is not what I would want my final match to come down to. But it would also make it, like, I mean, that's pretty good, exciting way to do it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, here we go, guys.
Shield rush versus shield rush comes down to execution and target selection. So then it could be, I mean, you can have a mirror matchup rush comped, and it could go one way or the other pretty easily, just purely depending on which target you decide to primary first and how you react to that, which is always interesting to see, especially mirror matchups. Like, we like them as casters because it's almost down to the execution of the individual pilots at that point rather than just pure theory crafting. Moa still alive, not for very much longer, and then a Claw. The Balgorn of Melinda just casually slow boating away from everybody else, though, towards the edge of the arena. Not really sure why. Don't think he's going to make it to the edge before the time runs out. But he is heading up that way at the moment, just perhaps for a scenic screenshot out there at the edge in the Casper zone. One Claw left, just doing his best not to die. Just prolong this match for no real apparent reason.
Yeah, Melinda's. He is sitting on top of an MJD beacon, so I think he might. I think he's actually trying to line up.
I think he's going to try and jump onto that Claw. Yeah, he's going to miss.
Yeah, he is. Oh, it's pretty close. I think the Claw is going to slightly get away. Let's see.
Claw's on a beacon as well. I don't know why
he didn't miss. Though. Like, he was aiming very, very well. It's just the Claw goes 6 times faster than he does. Exactly. So I feel like he gets some credit there. It was a good MJD, but you're chasing a Claw that's going at
in a Balgorn
4K. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did get newts on him.
He got newts on him. Okay.
Yeah.
They might be in peak fall off
though.
Yeah, they will be. And even if he shuts off his micro warp drive for a cycle, which it doesn't look like has happened, he can just coast out and turn it back on again. Although he has kind of forced it up towards the Vexer, and now he's turning back running. And this Claw just does not want to die, and he's done it. He's survived. That is the end of the match. So Gain, Boast, Star personally wins. The rest of his team unfortunately lose. And Rainbow Wolves take the series to 1-1, and yeah, wow, exciting. Also, Long GG can't. Please don't bring your Torp Widow comp again. Doesn't work.
And we are back. We're going to have a quick conversation about how the match just went and what we expect to see to come in this final of the best of 3.
Yeah, so the team, the match bans don't reset in this best of 3, right?
They don't reset. As I say, it's just the winner team can't bring the same comp again. So, and then they have obviously their additional bans, or they're just their standard bans on top of that banning of the previous comp.
Yeah, so Odin's Call, the Rainbow's Wolf team, they cannot bring that Lashak comp again, so they're banned out of like Lashak Battleground, Magus, Decon. It's gonna make it a little harder for them to do armor core setups with those bans. And the Long GG's team, they can't bring the Rattlesnake comp that they brought in the first game. So it'll be interesting to see what both teams end up bringing. So the like Loki Nighthawk comp is still available to both teams. It'll be interesting to see if either team wants to go with that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking at. I mean, I don't. It's not entirely fair to say that without Lashaks and Balgorns, there's not really a viable armor setup. But I think with this specific rule set, you got to get it. You got to start doing some really weird stuff because this rule set, there's no faction drones, so that kind of gets rid of a lot of the drone setups. There's the points are a little bit different, so I don't know. Maybe they could do a weird battle cruiser setup, but the points are just different than the AT-17 stuff. So I think that Odin's probably won't bring an armor setup. I'm sure they might just do it because haha, look at what we did. But yeah, I think you're right on. Losing those two ships really does make it rough for them to bring something armor based.
Interestingly, we just got the bans for the next match in the spreadsheet. So Odin's Call have banned Lashak, Barghest, and Rapier. And Long GG have banned Nighthawk, Loki, Paladin. So we're not going to see the Nighthawk Loki comp because Long GG have decided they want to ban that out. They've also banned the Paladin too. So potentially removing that from Odin's Core if they thought they were going to go with the triple Paladin core.
I have a question about Widows, but before that, I would like to also state that one of the Odin's Call members in Twitch chat just said, "Are we all ready for some memes?" So I think we're about to see something a little off the wall here.
Oh, no.
Hopefully, I hope so. Obviously, it's going to be about 10 to 15 minutes before we see it. But so here's my question, Satonia. You know things about Eve. You have a big Eve brain. My brain, not many ridges. Here's many ridges. How good are Widows post buff in regards to being a shield jamming ship? Like, not ignoring the last match. We saw how they do versus the Shacks, but I mean, like, in general.
Well, they got a pretty huge buff, right? So they had a 20% resistance buff added on top of the Tech 2 resistances that they got earlier in the year 2. So they're now like a ton tankier, so they can actually withstand under a lot more pressure. Not two Lashaks, as we just saw, but they're a lot tankier. They also buffed the ECM strength bonus on them too, from 30% to 40% per level, which actually makes them a lot more reliable when it comes to jamming too.
Okay, that's pretty disgusting, isn't it? That's like I believe rooks have like I think like a max skilled rook with perfect skills is like 100% total bonus plus all the skills, and so they're basically twice as strong as a rook then, right?
Yeah, almost. I think the rook is 30% if I remember correctly, but I could be completely wrong on that one.
Yeah, I'd have to I'll look it up real quick while we're chatting. So my question is, obviously we don't get to see the fits, unfortunately. I could ask Odin's Call we'll ask Twitch chat because Twitch chat is very, very smart. We discovered that yesterday. Were they full tanked Widows, or were they doing like 2 or 3 ECM mids with etc.? I'm kind of curious about how they fit them, because what I'm thinking here is if you just took a Widow and you maybe only had 1 jam on it, but you kind of banked on like, okay, well, like I think they're going to bring Deacons, you bring in a Mar Jammer or something, but then you run it more or less as a Scorpion Navy issue. Is that viable with the damage bonuses and the shield bonus?
Maybe it's interesting. It also did get a DPS buff too in the last patch as well. So it's just so much stronger. I think that's why it's why it's banned as being a flagship in AT-50 or AT-16, sorry, or 17, sorry.
All right, one of the Paladin, who's been super helpful from the Odin's team of giving us live updates from their their side says that they were full tanks. So I guess they just melted between two Leshaks, which means that maybe my idea is a terrible one and they shouldn't do that.
Yeah, the coordination there is a big deal too, right? Because like one thing you could do with like two Widow versus two Leshak thing is you like I jam one Leshak, you jam the other Leshak, and then after like a minute we swap. So then that way like we keep resetting the spools.
That's some big brain play.
It's I mean, that's one of the things about ECM teams. Like we've seen it throughout the years. Every single time a major ECM team wins, everyone just kind of starts being like, ECM, it's so terrible. But the reality of it is, like, especially nowadays, ECM is probably the hardest. In ECM comp's probably the hardest one to fly, just because you have to coordinate your ECM so well, and it is RNG. It's not like you're switching targets with DPS where you kind of know it's going to apply. You're switching targets with ECM, and you're hoping that when you swap, it jams out. Because if not, you see exactly what happened there. So I don't know. Maybe it's not something to, like, I guess a good way. Maybe it's not something to bank on, just because you're risking so much on you being able to get RNG to happen.
You can all hate me for saying this, but I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the changes to ECM, especially for this kind of tournament meta as well, because you can at least, as you quite rightly say, you can at least target the person that has jammed you. But you know, if you have a dual ECM comp, you're still gonna have to switch that around to force those. You have got Leshaks on the field to retarget. I think that's makes a very interesting kind of mechanical play tournament scenes.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you to a degree. I mean, it means that the Leshak is an extremely powerful ship against ECM in general. In my opinion, I don't know if that's something that's shared. Like Leshaks and Paladins both have the ability to kill ECM ships. I'm thinking not really the Widow situation, but like a Blackbird or a Rook, where it's like, okay, well, you jam me out, but I can still apply 1,000 DPS to you at pretty much any range. So it makes it a little less annoying to fight against. Having lost, I think I've lost 2 third places now to ECM comps in the finals, so I have a right to be slightly annoyed by it.
That was when you could bring chameleons, though, right? So
yes, yeah, it was the it was like a double rook chameleon sacrilege damnation setup by Vidra.
yeah.
Pretty much both times. I think one of them they didn't bring a chameleon, and one of them was the last one that we did that was super frustrating because we lost, like, I don't even remember what ship it was. It was something really small, and we just never able to kill anything. Like our Rabisu kept everybody alive, so we never died. Nobody died in anything big. Like our Rabisu lived, our Flag Balgorn lived, but we lost like one small ship just to the Rabisu getting permajammed the entire fight because they only had like 1,000 DPS. So it was literally a 10-minute, very, very slow, painful losing of one ship that made us get 4th place, as opposed to if we had won that match, would have got us 2nd place. So
here's a question for you. Like Paladin has said there's 2 jams on each. So how would you end up deciding what jams you end up bringing? Do you balance that around what you've banned in the hope that they're going to bring a faction opposite ship to what you've banned? Or how do you think they've decided what 2 jam mods to bring?
I think you go through a list of comps in your head of what you think they're going to bring. You also take a look at the bans too, right? So they banned Nighthawk, Bargus, Jackdaw. So I think you can kind of assume from that there's not that many Kaldari setups left on the table aside from, like the Rattlesnake kind of stuff, where jams aren't like super crucial anyway. So I think you could probably skew towards like Amar, probably most likely. You probably expect them to bring like or Galanti, like if they go Galanti Rush, if they go Vindicator or Leshak, that kind of stuff.
all right, I've got one. So are you allowed to do multispectral jams under the rules?
As far as I'm aware, they're not banned.
All right, here's the big brain play. You bring 2 multispectral jams because the Widow jam bonus is so big that with 1 jamming rig, you can have it jam strength almost the same as a Rook, but as a multispectral, and that way you don't have to worry about it. Or you could do what they did and pick the correct flavors. I mean, that's a good way to do it too.
Yeah,
I've-
Paladin says they picked the correct flavors, so they did go like a Margalanti probably.
I guess the multispectral one is only actually realistically going to work on the Widow. Would it work on like a Rook or like a Blackbird? I guess probably not. Maybe on a Blackbird.
No.
I think the bigger problem is the range on it as well, other than the strength on those ships, because like Rook and Blackbird are a lot more about surviving by being at like 80k rather than being like close range, like the Widow can be.
Yeah, no, you would much rather want to bring, like, I think you're right that you could realistically say they're probably going to bring, you can usually predict if someone's going to bring armor or shield, and if they're going to bring armor or shield, then you can say, okay, well, if I just bring a Galente, you're good to go. Especially right now, because Deacons are better than Thalias, Kieran's are better than Scalpels, that kind of sort of thing. So you can be like, oh, well, we'll be okay. Yeah, ECM Maguses were pretty strong as well, so.
Yeah, their comp is actually pretty strong against, I'd say, like the heavy shield stuff as well, right? Because Torp Widows actually applied to like rattlesnakes and like the heavy shield stuff, whereas against Leshaks, etc., it's a lot harder to keep sticky damage on them. Especially since I don't believe I saw any target painters from their team, which is kind of interesting for a torpedo team. The claws were interesting too. I have to wonder if maybe like at least in this fight, like something like a vigil probably would have been like way better. But I guess they can't necessarily predict that they're going up against like a close range brawling thing and not something that's like more kitey.
Yeah, it's a cool setup. I guess they could bring it again. They could just run it back, right? That'd be kind of weird. It'd be funny. Long GG just runs it back to the Widows and then dies again to like whatever the memes are that Odin's planning on bringing. I guess we could do predictions on what's actually going to show up here, but I feel like I'm hoping Paladin isn't lying to us and they're about to bring something just totally ridiculous and off the wall. I guess so. The Leshak and the Barghest Rapier Nighthawk Loki Paladin ban that pretty much takes out like Sleipnir. I guess you could do the Sleipnir Broadsword rush if you want to do the Shield Rush still, but it does take out like the really big. I think the key to the Shield Rush is the Loki, not actually the Nighthawk. So I wouldn't be really surprised if Long GG does like a Sleipnir Broadsword rush, because we've seen that happen quite a bit this tournament when the Nighthawk Loki's banned, which means hopefully Rainbow Wolves is bringing something crazy and off the wall that'll fight that.
Yeah, we still have Balgon available for Long GG, as well as the Vindicator's not banned in this one either, so could see like a Battleship Core from Long GG. Unfortunately, Odin's Core can't bring the Balgon, which is interesting.
Something we haven't actually seen yet is the an Abaddon rush, which is a lot. I say rush. You can't really rush with a ship that goes like 800 ms, but you know what I mean. It's like an Abaddon laser rush. So I would actually like to see that. You can. I'm pretty sure with the points on this, you can do a triple Abaddon, triple Oracle, and just have like almost 8,000 DPS of lasers, which would be really cool to see.
Do you want to bring that into potentially like curse Balgon
though? If you can get on 0 at that Balgorn, it's gonna melt. I mean, if you track and disrupt Conflag down to like, you could track and disrupt Abaddon's Conflag lasers down really low, drop it, but they still have I believe the optimal is still about 11 to 12 km. So if you get the Abaddons at 0, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, the newts would be really rough. The question is, I don't know if a Balgorn can actually tank that much DPS, because armor resistance changes, surgical strike changes, close range ammo changes. We've talked about it before. It does change the meta a little bit. It's like some of the ships that used to be very tanky are not really as much anymore. Not necessarily because they tank less, though they do a little bit, but because everyone does like 40% more DPS.
We are just starting to see the teams being born into local now for this final between Rainbow Wolves and Long GG roaming team for the best of 3 to decide who ends in 3rd and 4th place. So the match will be starting fairly shortly. soon as they start arriving on the arena, send us over there. I am very interested to see actually end up bringing. There's been a lot banned off the table from the winning of both matches, and then obviously the additional bans on top of those banned comp. So this is going to be pretty interesting, I think.
Black Belt Pirate, why do you think people are banning the rapier but not the Hugin? Is the rapier just more universally better because of the rapid lights that it has? So it's like way more better at just killing small stuff. Because the Hugin obviously is faster, has like slightly more hit points, and like has better sensor stats.
So Long GG can't bring a Hugin. They won with it on the first match. That's the only reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So, yeah. No, it's you're totally right. Like, there's zero reason to ban a rapier over Hugin ever, unless you're playing in like weird best of threes and best of fives, where if you bring the same comp, you can't do that. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you ban, you can still bring a hyena, which, depending on the setup, is comparable. They might do that. Like Hugins and hyenas are similar ships in what they do. Just one speed tanks and the other one tries to just regular tank. So yeah, normally you'd never ban a rapier over Hugin. That'd be kind of silly. I guess you could if you wanted to be like, I don't know, special.
Yeah, because the only thing that I could think was like, you want the rapid lights from the rapier because maybe it's like slightly better at like clearing more small stuff than the Hugin is, since the highs on the Hugin are like mostly worthless when it comes to applying to like frigates and stuff.
Ooh, something has landed.
Yeah. Happening status.
Hey, I hope it's a triple Vindicator rush.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, this is great. It is not a triple Vindicator, but there are Vindicators involved.
Oh, wow, these weapons as well.
Yeah, all right, this is going to be spicy. Spicy.
Just waiting for the final ships to land, and then I'll be transferring us over to the arena very shortly.
Oh man, I'm excited. I didn't know what it is.
Oh, and we're actually starting in 30 seconds, so
they still haven't settled out warp yet. So
they haven't all landed yet, but apparently we're starting. Well, the game says we're starting.
Okay, one more lot, and we're transferring us over.
All right, sweet. So we have a double Vindicator Armageddon on Rainbow Wolf's side versus a double Vindicator Balgorn on Long GG's side. Other than that, we have pretty much the same thing, though Long GG does have one extra arbitrator, and Rainbow Wolves brought a Nurgle, which is kind of goofy, as it is a 6-point frigate. They are kind of jockeying for position to use that right now. Long GG is burning straight away, which makes sense because they do have those super long range webs, but it looks like Odin's is also kind of burning away, so I'm wondering if they're going to try some MJG shenanigans, which would be super fantastic to see. I would love to see it, because both teams have a ton of damage right now.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I think the Nurgle's probably because they can't bring the Balgon, right? So they bring the Armageddon, which saves them like 4 points, and then they have that 4 points to dump somewhere, so they might as well, I don't know, I guess, promote the Arbitrator up to a Nurgle or something.
Yeah, and I think Long GG realized that both teams were running away, and so now they're burning all of their ships straight in there. The Vindicator of Melinda is kind of in a great position to screen. However, not the Vindicator. The Melinda did get tackled for a little bit by the Balgorn here. I don't know. I guess they have guidance disruptors, missile guidance on it, just because that's the only ship they could put it on. A lot of tracking disrupting going on both sides, but I'm not sure how much it's going to matter, since like the Vindicators are probably just going to sit on each other's faces. So it's going to be a really crazy DPS rush. I guess we're going to see if Deacons or Thalias are better. But at the end of the day, I think this is going to be based on how much newt pressure you can get on the opposing team's Logi.
Yeah, the Long GG team also has that extra arbitrator, so they have an extra set of TDs as well. Not that it's going to matter too much, as you said.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to... I mean, it could. You know what? If you arbitrator down a Balgorn to like 2k and then have 90% webs and or not a Balgorn, if you arbitrator down a Vindicator to like 2 or 3k optimal and then do some weird webbing shenanigans. It could end up mattering, but we'll see. Long GG is pushing straight in onto the Armageddon. They actually have him already taking a lot of damage here.
Yeah, he's webbed, and I think now he's 90% webbed, so he's definitely not going anywhere. He's probably going to die pretty quickly, and we're not really seeing any damage going out onto Long GG's team right now. It looks like they're going to go onto the Balgon of Colbert.
Yeah, that's a pretty smart call. I think it is a gun Balgorn, by the way, so there's a little bit more DPS on the Long GG's team. I do think that might actually mean the newt pressure or like who has more newts goes over to Rainbow Wolves, because it is a full newt Armageddon. So yeah, there's I don't know. They're flying it a little bit differently. I'm seeing them just kind of getting into position here. The Paradigm's Balgorn's actually webbed off really far away, and he does have a lot of tracking disruptors on him. So Rainbow Wolves is going to have a little bit of trouble applying damage right now. That being said, they are breaking the Balgorn a little bit faster here.
Yeah, I think he has been scrammed off by that Vengeance over in the corner. That's why the Vengeance is webbed right now, because the Vindicator doesn't have anything else to put it on.
Yeah, I want to see them do the classic 90% Vindicator maneuver where they just turn and kill him. So it's like, oh, you're tackling my Vindicator. Okay, well, I'm just gonna kill you. So bye.
Yeah,
But,
looks like Colbert's slowly breaking. It'd be interesting to see what happens with the rep bots, because I don't think we have any smart bombs in this case, right? Like unless the Armageddon or the Balgon's packing one of them, probably wouldn't put one on Vindy.
The only thing I could see is if so Colbert is breaking a little bit right here. Yeah, you're totally right. If Melinda had smart bombs, maybe, but since Melinda's also primary,
Thalia just got snap
there you go.
kills.
Okay. Yeah, that'll do her. There is a full set of drones running around now. It looks like the arbitrators are trying to do some backline damage to that second Thalia, but that might be the difference. I don't know. We'll see. Melinda has so many rep drones on him that I don't think he's going to smart bomb regardless, so we don't know if he has the ability to do that. I'm guessing CCP just pinged.
Yeah, it looks like the newts have focused a bit more off onto the two decons now from the Armageddon. They were spread between other things before. It's like they're just trying to break Colbert. Colbert's in about half armor. I think it comes down to whether they can break him or not before they lose the second Thalia. Although it looks like the second Thalia is doing fine right now. We're seeing smart bombs now from Melinda. I guess they called the rep bots off of him.
They did, but also Melinda's dropping really quickly. I'm not really sure what the game plan is on that, if that's necessarily the best idea.
Yeah, the other Thalia had to burn because he was Balgon webbed and getting neuted, so I guess he burned away, but now he's not in rep range, so now he has to come back in.
Yeah, and Melinda does go down. Just that little extra pressure, the newt pressure and the DPS pressure on the two Thalias was able to make them break first. However, I think Colbert might drop as well. Not sure.
Yeah, he's definitely in trouble.
Yeah, because both of those Vindicators are very, very close to him. So even if you're tracking disrupting them, there's not much. So we'll see if the newt pressure is enough to, if the newt pressure from the Balgorn can shut their damage off in time. I don't think so, though.
Yeah, we're not seeing any of the Vindicators getting neuted right now, so all of their DPS isn't going to get shut down by those Balgons. As Colbert enters structure here, Nurgle's getting neuted a bunch. I guess you probably want to force him off so he resets his spool in case he came in for some reason. So the Thalia is webbed now too.
Yeah, and Colbert is going to drop here. They don't quite have enough DPS or enough newts and reps to save him, which that takes away so much newt pressure, and both Vindicators on both sides are still up. I really want to see, in fact, we are seeing it right now. The Nurgle has gone onto one of the deacons and is going to start spooling up on that. So that little extra bit of pressure might be what kind of tips us over. Fang is webbed down quite hard in the deacon by the Nurgle. I'm wondering if they're going to try for a Logi headshot here real quick.
Yeah, the Thalia on the Odin's Call side has been tackled too by the Vengeance, Voidautor. He just broke Scram right now though, so he's probably not going to be able to provide too much in the way of reps to the Vindicator. But so is Long GG's their Deacon of Fang. He's scrammed and tackled, and he's getting pressured by that. Oh, Magus just went down. I guess that was one of those snap Vindicator kills.
Yeah, they always have the ability to just turn on somebody and blow them up, which makes them very, very scary. Pony and Yoken are actually just punching each other in the face right now because they're both 90% webbed by each other. So Yoken is going down a little bit faster, though, which is not a good thing. And Long GG's doing a really good job keeping their deacons alive.
Yeah, that Deacon has survived even under the pressure of that Nurgle. It should start spooling up pretty soon. It takes a long time for the Nurgle, right? Because it takes like 60 cycles before it's at like full like 700 DPS.
Yeah, they're cool ships, but there's a reason why we don't really see them very much anywhere, honestly. Like, they're very expensive both on ISK-wise and points-wise in this tournament. So like, it is doing a little bit of pressure, though, but they're also kind of... Yeah, like, I don't know if it's going to be if that's going to really be a game changer. It's definitely...
Oh, Yokun's about to go down here.
Yeah, Yokun's about to drop here. But Pony's also dropping too. I don't know. We'll see if they can still take him down. He is pulling up on the Deacon. Yoken does go down. The Deacon is actually about to hit structure, and they're having trouble keeping him up versus the Nurgle. But the Nurgle just got jammed by EC drones, the greatest drone of all time, which means the spool has been broken on him.
That's really unfortunate.
Yep.
So I think Paradigm should be able to finish off Pony Loki here, but I don't know if he's going to be able to beat PR, especially if there's still two Deacons on the field versus just the one Thalia that's repping him, or Thalia.
Yeah, I want to see... they do have some good newt pressure on Fang. What they really need to be doing is, if they're trying to kill Fang, is they need to be doing newt pressure on Fish DK instead. Like, you don't go for the Deacon that you have locked down, you go for the Deacon that you don't have locked down is generally the best idea. Pony Loki is going to drop here. I don't think they have the ability to keep him up, because even though it's just one Vindicator is always something that you want to have on your side. It's still a ton of DPS.
Yeah, just one Vindicator is still like 1700 DPS.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering if Paradigm's going to live if they take Pony down, because he's not going down that fast, and they still have a lot of rep drones on him.
Yeah, so Pony just went down now. The Paradigm is still in very, very low structure. Maybe they can do some really weird shenanigans, because I think they do have more tackle on the Rainbow Wolf side with the Ponties and the Arbitrators. But...
Yeah, I don't know. He's in low structure now, or he's in low armor. The rep drones are doing a lot of work. Unfortunately, the Nurgle got EC droned again, or muted out. One of those two. He did lose the spool on the Deacon, so if you saw, the Deacon almost went down, and then it suddenly didn't.
Yeah, the Paradigm is slowly breaking here, I think.
Yeah, if they can't take down one of those... so one of the big things I guess I didn't notice is both Arbitrators from Long GG are sitting directly on top of Erd's Thalia and neuting him out. So the rep drones on pretty much it's only rep drones from the Rainbow Wolf side that were keeping that Vindicator up, and he does go down, which is really unfortunate for him. Really close. I think that snap kill on Thor's Thalia might have actually won them the game.
Yeah, one thing that was interesting too is the snap kill on the Magus, because that last Vindicator didn't have armor links.
Yeah, just so you guys are aware, we totally spaced out on it. The time actually ended while the Paradigm was still alive. So Odin's Call won.
Odin's Call won
wow.
with points.
That was
wow.
That was wow. I think we were just so absorbed into what was actually happening on the match that we just completely lost track of the time, because it was so close constantly.
I'm trying to figure out what the actual time was. It looks like he died about 2 seconds after the time went down.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just totally spacing out, trying to like watch what all the little tiny ships were doing, and yeah, totally fail casted, but that's okay, because Odin's Call actually won by like 8 points there.
Yeah, 52 points to 46.
Yeah, so if it was not a tournament fight where there was a timer on it, Odin's Call lost, but it's a tournament fight, so good job, Odin's Call. I guess that was that
was a great match.
That was a great match. Too busy staring at bars and looking at people's ships and stuff, I guess. Whoops.
Yeah, that match was totally engrossing, man. Just like looking at like the Nurgle and the ECM drone sadness, the what the arbitrators were doing, what the vindicators were doing. There's just like tons of stuff happening.
I think I need to make drone sadness an official Eve tournament saying. My list of phrases to be used in the tournament. Drone sadness.
I mean, everyone hates EC300s, so
yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, gosh. Well, good job, Odin's. That does give Odin's third place, which I believe gives them 10% of the Plex prize pool, which we have literally no idea how much it is. I also believe that. Let's see. I don't want to call her out, but CCP Aurora did say she might be giving skins out for this. If that's not true, you can DM me and tell me to shut up right now on Discord. All right, cool. Skins confirmed. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
That's exactly how that works.
Alliance on 18 confirmed.
Alliance Tournament 18 confirmed.
Yeah,
that technically has already happened.
Unless you DM me right now, we're doing another Alliance tournament next year. Yeah, okay.
Unless you DM me right now, we're doing 2 Alliance tournaments a year.
Yeah, exactly.
That was cool. Dang, I was not expecting it to go that late, but hey, I guess mirror match versus mirror match. Good job, Odin's. Like seriously, that was fantastic.
Yeah, we should see the winners match now, right? That's in about 10 minutes time.
Winners match, yes, scheduled for about 15 minutes from now, but yeah, they'll probably be starting to move into the system about 10 minutes from now, for sure. So we
do already have bans for it, which is pretty cool.
You want to take us through them?
Let's do it. So the finals, which is going to be a best of 5, which means things are going to get real weird due to the ship banning or not being able to fly the same setups, is between Nightmare Skating Issue and the Flight Deck. Nightmare Skating Issue banned Lashak, Curse, and Balgorn. Flight Deck banned Nighthawk, Loki, and Curse, and with the mirrored bans, they also banned Tengu and Bargast. So the spooky Shield Rush has been banned, kind of. The Bargast has been banned, so we won't be seeing that. And the Armor Core has been banned with the Lashak and the Balgorn gone, which means we might see some real creative stuff. Satonia, what is actually up that we would kind of see as on meta? Like, what could we see here?
So the triple Paladin stuff is still up, right? The Paladin core. We still have like Vindicators, but I guess that's kind of a meme when you don't have like Balgorn available. We did see Odin's Core bring one with an Armageddon, so that's still available.
Yeah, I think we've seen a couple triple Paladin setups now that I think about it, and that's been being banned a lot. Do you think we might see something like that?
Yeah, I mean the Paladin is free, and like most of the support is still available, right?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have curses, but it's kind of hard to feel the curse. Paladins are very, very high points, so I think we've been seeing people try and bring Paladins in the AT for a long time, but they've not really ever worked, from what I can remember. At least in the last couple years. I'm sure they worked like 10 years ago, but things have kind of changed now. Is a Paladin like a more viable pick nowadays than it used to be?
Oh, especially with the with some of the changes that have happened recently. Like obviously, Bastion is banned in the tournament for a very good reason, because you can just watch 80-12 if you want to know why it's banned. But it seems to be actually buffed their sensor strength recently, right? Which is a pretty big deal. It's a lot harder to like jam out Paladins now, because they now actually have like more strength than like Armageddons. Previously, they had like the sensor strength of like a destroyer or something.
Yeah, they used to have to either remote sensor boost them or fit multiple sensor boosters in their mids, and the reality of it is that a Paladin does not have a lot of mid slots to do. And yeah, if Bastion wasn't banned, I mean, gosh, why would you bring anything besides Paladins at that point? Or Vargers, I guess, would be probably better. Basically a Dreadnought nowadays that do like 2,000 DPS or something stupid like that.
Yeah, with the shacks being like a little more expensive too, right? Being able to bring a ship that has 4 utility highs is also pretty nice.
So from what I understand, they didn't actually buff Marauder damage outside of Bastion, but because of all of the other damage changes, they've kind of buffed Marauder damage. Does that seem like a fair statement to make?
Yeah, that's fair, and especially I think the Paladin and the Kronos, they got some like changes that like made their capacitor like a lot better, as well as just the sensor strength thing being a big deal.
Yeah, that's the sensor strength plus the ECM changes is such a like kind of weird back end change that doesn't necessarily look like a direct buff to them, but in the Alliance tournament it makes them so much better because you used to be able to just ban or I used to be able to just jam out Marauders like so easily because, like you said, I think they had a sensor strength of about 10, like 10 to 12, and now they're on par with any other T1 battleship. So it's kind of a big deal. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see them, but I think that that's a very strong start would be to just drop 3 Paladins at 30 km and just laugh at people with massive laser DPS.
Yeah, are there any shield setups that you think are still available? Right, so we've obviously got the like Nighthawk, Loki, Tengu, Barghest bands, which kind of removes like the 2 strong core shield setups. So we still have like Rattlesnakes available. Widows are still available if they want to copy Long GG's Widow Rush.
So we saw, I think that these 2 teams are one of the ones where what we saw was a Torp SNI Rattlesnake go up against a Cruise SNI Rattlesnake, and there was a little bit of contention. Now that you're here, maybe you'll agree with me that Cruise missiles are better, even though Torps do more damage. But the Torp team actually just completely rolled the Cruise missile team. They basically brought mirror setups, but the Torp team rolled the Cruise missile team because their Torp battleships were not screened, and the Cruise missile battleships went after the wrong target, also known as not another battleship. So personally, I still think cruise missiles are better even with the Torp buff just because of range, but it was really hard to be able to make a statement on that because the piloting was not particularly great on one side and was fantastic on the other.
Oh, it's always fun hearing you talk about battleship positioning. You're really passionate about it. It's great.
Yeah, it's been a thing. I mean, I guess Eve's space background, and it's been something I've been having to deal with on my own at my own attempts to sort of like be a little more active in the tournament team than back in the day. I've always been like a pilot, but I've never really been in charge of anything, which is probably a good thing because high amounts of energy does not necessarily work well. They know what I'm talking about if they're watching. But yeah, like trying to deal with people's positioning and like getting them to understand that TQ piloting is not the same as AT piloting, and in fact, small gang piloting is not the same as AT piloting, which I think is one of the reasons why we've seen so many of these over the years. The traditional like elite small gang alliances actually don't do particularly well in the AT, with the exception of Hydra and Vidra, but they don't count.
Yeah, well, they actually spend like thousands of hours on the test server practicing. Though they don't just like bring their Nanavaga comp into the AT expecting to do well with it.
Yeah, like I've been. It's been kind of a thing where, like, it sounds kind of weird, but in TQ, if you're doing small gang, most of what you are doing is piloting against people that are far worse than you in ships that are not optimized to attack your small gang ships. So if you're using, say, like, oh yeah, I'm using I guess like what's a really solid small gang ship would be something like a Vedmak, because they're relatively cheap for small gang. They have a lot of speed. They have a lot of self repairability. If you take damage, you can warp off, rep up, and come back in. They've got good range, good damage, etc. But if you think about the way you fly it, is you're basically loading up Maison, sitting at max range, and taking people down. In the AT, if you do that, you're losing 50% of your DPS, and you really need to be on top of them at 0, smart miming off rep drones, kind of doing more ramming, acknowledging the fact that yes, you are probably going to die, but you're trying to take them down with you. Whereas in small gangland, your goal is to not die as much as possible so that your kill board looks better. Very different piloting styles.
Yeah, the boundary makes a big difference too, right? You can't just like kite off in a straight line and just burn on grid forever. You have to turn at some point. There's like tons of MGD beacons all around as well, so it's a like completely different environment.
Yeah, I think that's why. I mean, we actually saw an armor Nightmare setup yesterday, which was kind of cool because it's the first time I've ever seen Nightmares win in a tournament in the last couple of years. But generally, I even made a comment before we saw them, of course, which then somebody brought Nightmares anyways. I was like, Nightmares are bad. You're not going to see them. And then they brought Nightmares and won with them. But the the reason why a ship like a Nightmare, which is super good on TQ right now, especially with ESS meta, is not amazing in the AT, is because you can't just turn your AB on and move in a straight line indefinitely. Like you said, at some point you have to turn, which slows you down, and then you get tackled.
Yeah, the fact that you just like can't warp out and leave is also a big factor too, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so much of Small Gang is about, as if you're doing it with a group of people, is like, oh, they're getting too close to me. I'll just warp out and warp to my friend in an interceptor that's 200 km off and reset. And this, it's like, no, you're here. Welcome to the party.
There's just been a request in Twitch chat to try and see that last minute of the actual last game. Just trying to put it together now to throw up onto the stream just to see how close they were to that timer. I think it was incredibly close.
Yeah, I think you said it was like 2 seconds after the timer, right?
Yeah.
It was close enough that I didn't realize the match had ended before I realized that the Vindicator was dead. So, because otherwise we would have probably been hyping it a lot. Because neither of us did. We were just like, oh yeah, the Vindicator's dying, and it's like, huh? Actually, it's been 10 minutes. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was such a good match. The time just like flew by.
Let's see if I can find it real quick, because we have the auto recording on, right?
So yeah, so I've got the clip. I'm literally just building a scene quickly for it to put it in, to show it.
Production value.
Yeah, I should have it in the next minute or so. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to replay that to you, but...
Yep. All right, CCP Aurora has confirmed that people are getting ship skins.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
EdenCon victory issues, or are they getting the I guess modest victory skins that don't exist or something?
They're you know what they should give them is Titan ship skins. The most valuable of all items, especially for these teams that probably don't have a lot of Titans.
Especially for small gang pilots, right?
Hey, here you go, Odin's Call. Have some Titan skins. Okay, they are going to be for EdenCon victory skins.
Okay, so let's give this a go. It may not work, but you know what? You don't know until you try.
Going down that fast, and they still have a lot of rep drones on them.
Here we go.
Yeah, so Pony just went down now. The Paradigm is still in very, very low structure. Maybe they can do some really weird shenanigans, because I think they do have more tackle on the Rainbow Wolf side with the Ponties and the Arbitrators. But...
40 seconds, just about to enter.
Yeah, I don't know. He's in low structure now, or he's in low armor. The rep drones are doing a lot of work. Unfortunately, the Nurgle got EC droned again.
Bring down the audio level on that video a little bit so you can talk over it. There we go. It is going to be incredibly close here. Half hull, about 20 seconds.
Dude, look at the rep bots. Kept him alive, but yeah, damn, that hull tank on the Vindicator. Holy cow.
10 seconds, and he's just a slither of health left.
It must have been insane. They were probably like screaming. Were you guys nerd screaming, Paladin? I bet you were nerd screaming.
Yeah, look, 0 seconds, and it's still alive. It's just barely registering on the hull, and then boom, goes 2 seconds after.
Okay, at least I got that part right. Gosh, you guys lived by 2 seconds. That's insane.
Oh, they had 69 points if they get so it would have been nice if they killed him 2 seconds later.
Yeah, because that's the thing is I was looking at the stream because I'm not running fancy just for the lag purposes. So when I saw the stream and I saw him take down, I was like, oh, well, it's at 0 seconds and they have more points. So clearly, clearly Long GG won, but I didn't realize like 2 seconds. Gosh,
So
not even close. Not even close.
I wonder what that was like emotionally to hear that on both teams. Like, I wonder if I would love to have been like the fly on the wall on the comms for both of those teams at that moment.
Yeah, hopefully Odin's recorded it. Generally, somebody's always recording everything, and we can just see it. I'm sure it'll only get 20 upvotes on the Goon Reddit because, it's Goon Reddit now. But
Reddit swarm is strong, right?
nice. So they did record it, and they are going to be posting it, so we can hear them nerd scream about it, which is perfect. Though the teams are now warping in, which is fantastic, and we're seeing a ship that we have not seen yet, which is also fantastic.
Is it a battleship? Because I don't actually have a
No,
Thunderdome.
It's not. It's actually a legion. It's actually a couple of legions. A legion of legions.
Transfer us over to the arena as we just have the last dudes land.
Legions are interesting. Have we seen legions at all yet?
No, I don't think we've seen legions, and I don't think we've seen damnations, which is what the flight deck is bringing, is a double damnation, triple legion, triple sentinel setup, which is really, really cool. I don't know if it's going to hopefully they brought the right guidance and tracking disruptors here, because they are up against triple Sleipnir, double Cerberus, double Jackdaw, one Rapier, and 2 Kierans. Actually, hold on. They are Ham Legions. Oh, we got our wish. It's Artillery Sleipnirs.
So this is like kind of like a fly killer comp then, right? With the triple like Artie Sleipnirs, and you've got like double Rapid Light Serve, double LML Jackdaw, plus the Rapier for control, up against like Ham Damnation Legions. They're gonna have a hard time getting on top of these Sleipnirs, I think. And those Sentinels, I hope they're good at getting their traversal up, because I think one of them might be dying pretty soon.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is kind of crazy, actually. We have not seen anyone bring Artie Sleipnirs for a very long time. But you're right. Like this is on the Sentinel pilot. Like if they don't get their transversal up immediately and get those TDs out, they're just gonna die. And the match does start. I have all the Sentinels locked up, and I'm waiting for somebody to just get popped right here.
See the old school like Warlords boom headshot at that.
Yeah, we played it. Okay, one of the Sentinels is dead already, so he just got exploded. They did not get enough tracking disruptors out in time, or he did not get enough transversals. So there's the first boom headshot. One Sentinel going down immediately, pretty much alpha'd. They do have speed going on, but a second Sentinel is taking a lot of damage right now too. I'm guessing the Sleipnirs are missing at this point. I'm watching one of them out transversal himself by quite a bit.
Yeah, he does. They do have to burn a little bit though, because there is like angry damnation.
Oh, there he goes. He just one shot one of them. Yeah. So the Sleipnirs they adjust a little bit. One of them was definitely out transversaling himself, but I guess it didn't matter because boom headshot. Another Sentinel does go down, and they're going to be working on that third one. I'm wondering if he's going to be able to survive. I believe those are afterburning Sentinels as well, which is probably not what you actually want to be flying right here.
Yeah, I think the warp pins were really bad for them too, right? Because the Sentinel only has an 80-kilometer lock range, so I think they had to like burn towards the Sleipnirs at the start just because of the lock range. And when they did that, the traversal was like super low. That's why the first one just got like absolutely like destroyed straight away.
Yes, one of these Sleipnirs was finally tackled by Rose Attack in the Legion. However, Rose Attack might actually burn straight past. No, they got him. Okay, so we're going to be able to see. I'm curious if there's enough DPS from the Ham Nations and Legions to take this Sleipnir down, or if they're going to be able to burn down the Deacons, because it does look like the Nightmare Skating is just trying to headshot Deacons right now, which should be a little bit more difficult than the Sentinels, as Deacons have like basically like 10 sig radius, which is really hard to hit. And Andy and the Sleipnir is actually taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, the Damnations have arrived now too. Those Legions were going pretty quick too. They're going 2k a second, so not the easiest thing to avoid in the arena.
Yeah, they're actually slamming right through him. So Andy and the Sleipnir is going to die really quickly here, and that Deacon is barely living. I think all the Cerberus is just reloaded, and they're trying to take him out with light missiles, but they did just lose one of their Sleipnirs. So the kiting is very strong, but if you get caught, you are still going to die.
Losing the link there too is pretty bad. We got webs on the last sentinel, so I'm pretty sure he's just dead. Yep,
Yeah, he
there we
just
go.
dropped. Yep.
So no more TDs or guidance disruptors left on the flight deck side. So we'll see what that means for the for the deacons there, if they can still survive. So we've got
these legions are going 2.1 kms when they're not webbed, so they're actually really fast, like way faster than I thought they would be.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just them like heating a bunch, or like they were really fast. Like they're probably about the same speed as the Sleipnirs.
Yeah, the Nightmare Skating Issues Rapier is doing really good work, just swapping webs around between the legions. We've actually seen a lot of incredible Rapier and Hugin piloting for this entire tournament, with them just basically a single ship webbing off like 3 or 4 ships and slowing them down back and forth. But we do see Alternative Muvlove, which is a fantastic name, is burning straight in with his Legion. He has not been slowed down yet, and he's actually going at about 2.2. Nope, they saw him. They got him webbed. So yeah, this is all on the Rapier. If he's able to keep them off for the entire match, then that might be a thing. And I kind of want to see them. I want to see Nightmare Skating Issue try and take down a Legion here, because they're definitely burning away too much from their deacons, and it looks like they're going for Rosemary.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to like poke holes in it. It looks like he's doing well enough though. We've got no Newt on the Rapier there, but I guess it's mostly probably just fall off.
Yeah, I think he got him with a medium Newt, but it didn't do all that much. Flight deck's kind of regrouping a little bit here. When your only tackle ships are legions, which are pretty good, and you're chasing Sleipnirs, which go the same speed as you, it gets a little tough. So this is going to be one of those weird ones where like it's the classic, can the armor ships catch the shield ships when you're stuck in a dome, which talked about it a little earlier, is very, very possible. And in fact, Mr. Pew Pew is all right on top of one of the ships. Looks like he's got to be almost on top of him, so they might be able to capture somebody. Oh, hey. Well, the Rapier just boundary violated, so that's always a good thing. I think that Nightmare Skating Issue just lost the match.
Yeah.
Rapier.
Like light heaven went to heaven at the edge of the arena. We're seeing a lot of damage on Darvin's deacon there for a little while. We're seeing some rep bots move over now, so
he is still going down. Yeah, it's those Cerberus's rapid light damage is doing a lot to him. I don't think the Sleipnirs are hitting him. Maybe they are. Oh, he just got alpha through structure, and he's down. All right.
Exit.
That said, Nanley did get tackled in a Sleipnir, so.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty bad. I was gonna say, like, if they can kill the other deacon now, because it's just the rep bots on him most likely. The other deacon is dead, so it can't rep him. But losing that Sleipnir though is a big deal, because in theory now they can just break the legions by just kiting them out for a while. But
yeah, and I mean they probably will eventually. Like this deacon is going to die at some point, but
rapid light reloads and
time, yeah.
I think the big trouble they're gonna run into, right, is they need to kill probably 2 legions to win on points. And is it are you able to kill 2 legions in 4 minutes when you only have like 1 Sleipnir and 2 rapid light Cerberuses?
Yeah, and I mean, you know what Nightmare Skating Issue really needs to do is be getting the hell away from all of these Legions and Damnations right now, and they're kind of hanging out a little bit close still. I think, like, I don't know, without that Hugin thing, or without the Rapier, it's the same ship, whatever. It's so much harder to kite here. They are going after Rose Attack's Legion. Like you said, I don't know if they're going to be able to take it down just with the Cerberuses and the Sleipnir before they lose another ship, because they do need to take 2 down in 3 minutes, and Legions are quite tanky, and there are still a lot of rep drones up.
Yeah, the Damnation and the Ham Legions, they all have like pretty big drone bays, so they can even carry like multiple flights of rep bots, so you can't even really like clear them out. At this point, it's probably be like a bad idea. I think they are going to get Rose Attack, but the question is, can they get Rosemary or Alternate before the timer ends?
Well, and for some reason, Nuss's Cerberus rammed Rose Attack, and Rose Attack tackled him, so they might get him, but I think that they're going to be able to get ships on top of Nuss's Cerberus and take him down as well. Because if you see, they're all burning straight towards Nuss's Cerberus. I think that, like, I don't know why he was over there, but he probably just suicided into the lead. And it's like, yeah, you're probably going to take Rose Attack down, but now, even though he's dropping, the Ham Nations have actually gotten tackle on that Cerberus and completely wiped him out before Rose goes down. He just dropped. I don't even know if he ADCU'd.
Well, now it's completely over because now they need to kill 3 legions, which they haven't even killed the first. So,
Yeah.
and then Jackdaw just got scrammed too.
Yep. Though Rose Attack does go down, so that's something.
Man, if that Rapier just didn't boundary violate, like, this game would have been over. If he just survived for, like,
so good. He had a lot of pressure on them. I think the entire team of Flight Deck was actually on him, and he was turning. Like, he didn't do it on purpose, but I think he just, like, double clicked in space slightly to the left too much, and then, you know, wasn't able to quite get it because he barely got it. I was kind of watching him. I didn't. My ship moved a little bit too far, so I thought he wasn't as close to the boundary as he was, but should have locked myself in place.
Yeah, we were seeing, like, mute effects on him too, so he was, like, in medium mute fall off, so he was in quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah, and Rapiers are actually pretty slow. I'm not sure if they're necessarily slower than a Legion. Kind of one of those weird questions that you're never ever going to have on TQ is a Shield Rapier in the AT faster than a Ham Armor Legion that's chasing it in a dome?
Oh, it's not just the Legion's top speed though, right? Like, they were playing pretty well, and, like, they were going at different angles, so, like, you can avoid one of them, but, like, can you avoid 3?
Yeah, I wonder if he was maybe trying to, like, sit near the boundary and get one of them to boundary chasing him, and it just didn't work out as well as he thought it would. So,
man, this Jackdaw that's been tackled has actually, like, stood up for, like, quite a while. I guess Jackdaw in defensive mode with that tiny sig doesn't take much damage from hams.
I'm actually surprised that they're doing so little to him. He does have a full flight of rep drones on him, but they might just be. He might only have 1 or 2 people on him right now. Rosemary is. I don't think he's going to go down. There is only 15 seconds left. See, look, we paid attention to the time this time. So, you know, like Satonia said, they do need to take either 2 legions down or a legion of damnation. There's absolutely no chance of that happening unless everybody boundaries in the next 5 seconds. One of the Kirans did just blow up randomly at the end there, but the Flight Deck does end up winning the 60-36. Really, really cool setup. I feel like Nightmare Skating Issue actually had that if they hadn't boundaried their Hugin.
Yeah, that Rapier boundary just cost them the game. Like, even if he got caught by the legions and died, like, just buying that extra 20 seconds probably would have got them the match there, and just getting some pressure off of, like, Sleipnirs for 20 seconds.
Yeah, and this does mean that the Flight Deck cannot bring Damnation's Legion, Sentinels, or Deacons for any of the upcoming matches, which that's kind of a big deal. I wouldn't necessarily say the Damnations and Legions are. I think that was very smart of them to open up with a setup that is a little bit off meta. I mean, it's still a ham rush, but it's not what you would expect from a ham rush. But losing the Sentinels and the Deacons actually does make armor setups a little bit more difficult. We've been seeing Sentinels do very well, and Deacons are objectively the best armor remote repping frigate. So it does kind of change the things a little bit.
Yeah, and Nightmare Skating Issue has the option of just banning failure, right, at Failure, to just, like, not allow them to have, like, armor shield, armor logi, frigate logi.
Welcome back to the part where we talking head for a little bit of time. We just saw the first match of a best of 5, which is for the finals between Nightmare Skating Issue and the Flight Deck. Both teams actually brought something that was a little bit different than anything we've seen before. We had a Legion, Damnation, Sentinel, and Deacon setup, which was a ham rush versus I believe it was pretty much a fly killer, right? We had Rapid Light Cerberuses and Artie Slepners. We can call it a fly killer. I think we'll call it that.
Yeah, it seemed to go like so well for them at the start. Like they killed 2 Sentinels, but then a Slepner got caught, and it seemed that seemed pretty bad. But those Legions were actually really scary. They're going like 2.1k a second, so they weren't like the easiest thing to avoid.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We did see the 2 Sentinels did get boom headshotted, which was always fun to see. I think that's the first time we've seen a fly killer do even like any level of success in recent tournaments. But the big key there was the Slepner team had a Hugin, and he actually boundary violated while he was kiting away from 5 people trying to kill him. Whether or not that actually lost them the match, we won't know. I have a feeling it did, because that Hugin was single-handedly keeping 5 ships off of the rest of their team by switching webs around. It was really crazy good piloting on his part. Unfortunately, he did go off. He did die, and the Loki Damnation team was able to start catching ships and taking them out.
Yeah, he was in a lot of trouble at the end there. The flight deck team did a really good job of just like pushing him against the edge of the arena. We saw like medium newts go on him, which means like he was in like medium newt fall off range, which is like about like 18-20 kilometers. So he was like really, really close to like, linked like overheated web range.
Yeah, I think that he probably didn't have a lot of opportunity. Like, he was going to get caught. You said that he was probably caught within the next 20 seconds anyways. It is what it is. Like, they did a really, really good job, though. Maybe if they hadn't tried to take out, I feel like they wasted like an entire clip onto a Deacon that they weren't able to kill because they just were out of position to kill it. And maybe they should have gone for something else or cleared rep drones or something. But it did happen. Like, if the Jackdaws had taken rep drones out, maybe it would have been a little bit different there.
Yeah, it's so hard to like deal with those like triple legions, right? Because you can only web like 2 of them, really. I assume he has like 2 webs in a shield comp. I imagine he's like MWD, like double LSC, 2 web or something.
Yeah, pretty squishy, but I don't know. It was cool. I like seeing it. And it is a best of 5, so losing one match doesn't really do all that much. I do think that something interesting, and I was thinking about this during our little break. If you look at the setup that the flight deck brought, it only has 4 ships in it, which is really, really intelligent on their part. Like, you can tell that was a setup they specifically made for this best of 5. Since due to the rules, any ship that you win with, you can no longer fly. So by bringing only 4 ships and bringing ships that are kind of off meta, Damnations and Legions, yeah, they can never bring Damnations and Legions again, but do they actually want to? I think they're pretty smart. Like, definitely some like big theory crafting meta stuff on their part.
Yeah, so they haven't really looked like you said, like the Damnation and Legion is actually not really that bad of like a ban not being able to bring it. The Sentinel and Deacon is probably a bigger issue, but you don't necessarily have to go armor logi.
Well, you were saying that they could that Nightmare Skating can now just ban a Thalia. Like, what does that mean on sort of a comp meta level if they ban the Thalia?
Well, I think it shuts down like the heavy triple armor battleship core, right? Because especially like Lashaks, the like more expensive pointed battleships.
That is definitely true. For those who don't know or aren't sort of into the tournament meta, every single ship has a set amount of points. The bigger the ship, the bigger the points. The more Tech 2E or Tech 3E the ship, the more points it has. This extremely expert description of it brought to you by Blackheart Pirate. And the battleships are about somewhere between like 19 to 23 points. The maximum points you can have is 100. So therefore, if you bring 3 battleships, you only have, say like 35, 40 points left. This matters because logistics frigates are 3 points apiece, and a Tech 2 logistics cruiser is, I want to say, 15 or 16. So only being able to bring a Thalia makes it really, really hard to run triple armor battleships if you ban out the logistics frigates. That was hard.
Yeah, especially since you ideally want like a link ship on top of that too, right? So like once you like take off like the 6 points from a Magus or like 18 from a command ship, it gets really, really tight.
Speaking of logistic ships, I got a general question for the pair of you. So, typical fleets, big fleets, you'll have FC, calling target, and then obviously you'll have a backup FC just in case they die. And typically they're in a particularly tanky ship so they can stay alive for the longest time so they continue those calls. Team captains, I'm assuming in tournament teams, are the ones taking on that role. So do you typically... One of the interesting things, like in this last game, for example, was the team captain for Nightmare Skating Issue was actually flying around in a Kirin, and the other one was flying around in a Damnation. What decides what ship a team captain or like a target caller is going to go in during a match, do you think? Do you put the captain in a critical role ship? Or do you, I mean, as a logistics ship, I'm guessing he's not going to be locking up half the enemy team, he's going to be locking up half the friendly team.
Well, it makes sense for like the person who's target calling to be in one of the bigger ships, right? So that they can just stay on the field longer. A lot of people kind of do their own thing in the Alliance tournament, though. There isn't like necessarily like one FC and like 9 F1 monkeys. Like everyone's kind of playing their own role. But you obviously do need someone who's like making target calls, who's probably going to be in like one of the bigger ships. There are some people who, like Starfleet Commander, for example, the team captain of Volta. He's very often in a logistics ship, although I don't think he calls targets from it. So I think you just put the best pilot that you have in the best role possible, and
well, especially once you start like doing serious practice. At least I know that from what we've always done is you kind of get used to being like, okay, you're pretty much always going to fly tackle. You're always going to fly this. You're always going to fly this. Every ship has different skill sets, like player skills that you require. If you've ever gone like solo PvPing in a battleship, you know that that's a much different play style than solo PvPing in like a small kitey ship, which is different than playing small gang logistics. So, I think that I believe that one of the NCDOT captains generally flies Logi right now. Previous tournaments, Nidus always would fly like a key ship, so he'd be like in a Curse or something tanky. It really just depends on the teams.
So it's just assigning pilots to the most critical roles rather than necessarily having a captain as a leader for an actual squad on the field. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's like what Satonia said, and what Paladin's saying in Twitch is that you really need to have everybody kind of communicating and flying at a similar, like, higher level, because if just one person's making target calls, it's really difficult to actually run a team. You can't just have one person calling everything, so gets a little cluster-y a little bit every once in a while, but
yeah,
it's fun.
I found it interesting because I think it was the first match yesterday. The team captain on the enemy team literally just got headshot. Literally as the match started, he was the first one to die, just because they were in I think it was a support frigate at the time. But I just found it entertaining that the fact that the captain of the enemy team was the first one to die. I didn't know if it was a effort to try and make cause chaos and coordinate the team. It was kind of interesting. I wish we could see the fits and kill mails, but I guess the technology isn't here. Yes, on TD, unfortunately, we will not be able to link kill mails, but we are planning, at least when the Alliance tournament rolls around, that we will hopefully, at least for the main tournament, be able to start linking the kill mails as we did back in the day.
really just wish there was a way to see abyssal modules from the kill mails, because it's like really disappointing when you see like a PL like flagship death like a Balgon, and it's like 90 bill, but it like shows up as like 7 bill on Z kill.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's one of those ones that if you could ask them to link the fit before the match, and you'll be able to see the abyssal mods. But yeah, unfortunately, the kill mails don't actually have the what the original mod was technology built into it, which is a little sad. Because it's funny to see Zico put it as 0.01 ISK, whereas in reality, like the starting module may have actually been billions.
Yeah, it's pretty safe to assume that anyone's flagship that's abyssal is probably some kind of very good module that was abyssal. Since, as far as I'm aware, almost every like faction and Dead Space modules, like fitting requirements are set up in such a way that it's pretty easy to fit them on most flagships. So, and also, I mean, abyssaling a Corp X type large repper or something like that is it's so cheap and efficient that you can just assume that, yeah, they're going to be expensive. The abyssals does change things a little bit, though. It's not as fun to be able to link a 300 billion ISK flagship loss anymore.
I'm kind of excited to see the flagships again. Those huge kill mills starting to appear. Even if they are abyssal fit, but it's still just nice to see. I think that was one of the highlights of the previous Alliance tournaments, is seeing those flagships being bought, and then the absolutely astronomical kill mills that come as a result of it. It was always entertaining.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be as big this year, just because you can't bring a 170 billion ISK Balgorn this year, which is probably a good thing to some degree. I know that's a very controversial statement, and a lot of teams are very unhappy about that. But you can't bring a double Toby Web Balgorn that is literally more expensive than pretty much anybody else's entire team losses over the entire tournament. So, the flagship rules are definitely different. It sort of changes what you can and can't bring. So at least we'll see different flagships, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a controversial change. I think that it does put the barrier of entry a little bit lower, since bringing a super blinged out Balgorn did kind of hard counter newer teams in a way. Arguably hard counter them.
Yeah, especially in the Alliance Tournament 14 meta, right? Like where like if you had like that Toby Web Balgorn that could like just web Logi from the start for the like battle cruiser shotgun comp. Like either you had a bling enough wallet to bring a Balgon that had the like 60-kilometer web, or you couldn't. Like the poorer teams had to go with like the X type Armageddon instead, which wasn't as good.
Yeah, I mean, NC like in AT14 basically coasted their way to 4th place by bringing a Rabisu and a Flag Balgorn on almost every single match, and it made it so nobody could actually stop it. Like, I'm not saying that we won our matches because of that, but it was extremely low risk because of that, I guess is a good way to put it.
It does kind of feel strange saying like low risk when you talk about a 90 bill Balgon though.
Well, I mean, there's all sorts of things you can say about that in regards to people using bling ships and quote unquote risk. Like I was actually out doing some small gang with some of the guys from Wildcard a couple days ago, and we were streaming, and we went into what apparently is Pandemic Legion's home system, or like a lot of them were there. I didn't even know PL was still a alive alliance, but it turns out they are. And they had about 70 ships on field versus our 6, and Headliner brought out an Adrestia, which you could say it's like, ooh, he brought an Adrestia out in nullsec. That's so high risk. And it's like, yeah, well, you also had Rorqual sitting there repping you, and like 60 dudes in between you and anything. You were sitting at 200 cams sniping, and there was 5 of us, and we were streaming. So is it really risky? I mean, I guess we could have been baiting, but they watched us from Jita take a filament and end up in their space. So like the chances of us being ready to actually, gank an Adrestia when they have that many people, yeah, it's expensive because it's a tournament ship, but is it really risky? I don't know. Hard to tell.
Because of course, the real PL in this upcoming alliance tournament is actually prismatic.
Oh, we have bans available now for this next game.
We do indeed, and the ships are just also started to appear in local, so we will be starting shortly. But do you want to run us through the bans quickly?
Yeah, so a Nightmare Skating issue, they've decided to ban the Shack, Balgon, and Curse. So they've actually banned exactly the same bans as they banned in the previous game. And the Flight Deck team had decided to ban almost the exact same bans that they had the previous game too, with Nighthawk Loki. The only difference is they changed the Curse ban to the Sentinel ban, which was the duplicate ban last time, which resulted in the Tengu and Bargus getting banned. So what does this leave open, Black Bar?
Unfortunately, I can actually see what they have, so I'd be cheating if I
Okay.
sounded like what it was going on. But it is actually it's something that I've been saying for the last couple of matches because people keep banning Nighthawk Loki. I was like, well, you ban Nighthawk Loki, but you can still bring a Shield Rush. Oh, if you ban Nighthawk Loki, you can still bring a Shield Rush. Well, someone finally did it, which is fantastic.
Let's bring us
And
over to
I've
the
been
arena.
kind of let's bring it to the arena because this is kind of a cool setup. We've actually seen this match once already, but it was a little bit different in the ships that were there, and I think we've talked about it a couple times. Where what we have here is okay. First off, apparently Nightmare Skating issue 7 points under. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, that seems like a bit of an oversight on their part. But the Flight Deck has brought a triple Sleipnir double Ham Onyx. So this is a Shield Rush with 3 Swipples and 2 Scalpels. And they're going up against a triple Bargus double Stork Hyena, 2 Caracals, and 2 Scalpels. So we have a Shield Rush going up against a heavy missile launcher Bargus kiting setup.
Are the Sleipnirs AC or artillery?
I'm guessing AC, but I'm checking right now.
Yeah, they probably are with the Steeples, but
Yeah, they're AC. So AC Sleipnirs, AC Steeples, and heavy assault missile Onyxes versus. I'm going to make sure that they are heavy or rapid heavy Bargus. If they're not, I'd be confused. Okay, yeah, they're rapid heavy Bargus. So it's pretty much a standard rapid heavy Bargus rush, but they're or shield kind of comp. But they do have a Hyena, which makes it really, really powerful. The big question is are those Onyxes going to be able to get in range for the 20 km scram? Because banning the Lokis out means that it's a little bit harder to actually catch up to anything, which is probably why they brought the Onyxes in the first place.
yeah, the Hyena doesn't have like super long webs, but it's still probably enough to like keep the Onyxes away.
One of those Fipples is going 5.3 kms, so they are actually already straight on top of them. Looks like they haven't quite got the tackle yet, but they should be able to grab them. Nightmare is doing a really, really good job of running away, and they are going to pop Rainbow CK Svipple right here. Flight Deck is trying to basically suicide their Svipples and to get tackle on something, but
They have got the Hyena there. One of the
they
Steeples have
did
got the
get the
Hyena.
Hyena. Yeah, I think that was a good call. I don't know if they're going to be able to hold the Hyena long enough, though, to get their other ships on top of it. Nope, the Onyx has scrambled a Vargas. So Leon has been scrambled by a Onyx, which means that Vargas is not going to be going anywhere. I do think they need to take that Hyena out, though, as fast as possible, and I'm not sure if they're
Great
actually
tackle as well. So he's actually going to live probably because the last Steeple just died. He's now burning away.
a Vargas just boundary violated. Yep.
Oh, no! Was it the same?
Yeah.
It wasn't the
It
same
was
guy
not
as
the same
before.
guy. No, it wasn't the same guy. So Nightmare just decided that they didn't want to have a Bargist, making it a little bit easier because Leon's Bargist is actually tackled by 3 Sleipnirs and 2 Onyxes, which is a lot of DPS.
Yeah, and he's going down pretty fast there. So, and I believe they're on reload too because we just saw their attack bar drop a ton.
Yeah, they did kill all 3 Swipples, which is really good. If they had not boundaried that Bargist, that would be really, really good. I know that sounds really obvious to say, but like, really, dude, seriously, you boundaried a Bargist? Come on, they're not even that fast.
Yeah, this game would have definitely been in the favor of Nightmare Skating issue, I think, if that Bargus didn't boundary violate. But now that the Bargus is boundary violated, I think the Flight Deck probably has the edge, especially since they have this Bargus already in armor. I don't think the Scalpels can keep him up under fire from the Sleipnirs, and it looks like they're not really close to breaking alternative Sleipnir. So
yeah, the other thing too is that once the Scalpel goes down, the Nightmare Skating issue has actually kept most of their ships near this flight deck team, which is really, really not smart. I don't know why they left their stuff there instead of kiting away. Like, once one of your boys is tackled, you need to get away from him, because now the Slepners and the Onyxes are able to switch directly onto a Scalpel, which was sitting at 0. Mariah was basically orbiting Leon's Barghest at like maybe 5k, but that means they were able to immediately switch off and pop him. I understand needing to be in remote rep range to try and help, but maybe once you realize that he's almost dead, it's time to get the heck out of there. Alternative is actually taking a lot of damage from this last Barghest and the Caracals, and I'm going to see if those are damaged Storks. I kind of doubt it, but we will check.
Yeah, the Barghest is reloaded now, but now it's only really like one Barghest, right? Like I don't think it's going to be able to break a Slepton that's backed up by 2 Scalpels.
Yeah, I don't know if he could even break a Slepner that's backed up by himself. Code Earth has been tackled by an Onyx now, and like I said, he really needed to not be hanging out there, but he's about to be swarmed by a bunch of high DPS ships here, and this is something I think we've talked about it a couple times throughout this tournament, that when you ban the Shield Rush, sometimes it's a good idea to Shield Rush anyways. And interestingly enough, the flight deck is the one who banned most of the Shield Rush ships here, and then chose to Shield Rush anyways. So I think there might have been some metagaming going on there. Code Earth is taking a lot of damage, and also Nuss 6 just boundary violated in his Caracal, which maybe they're doing it on purpose at this point.
And the second Caracal boundary violated as well.
Yeah, I think they're just blowing themselves up just for the fun of it. This fight is going on at about 110 to 115 kilometers off the center of the arena, by the way. So they're all close to each other, but they're all actually right on the boundary, which is pretty. It's always a little bit dangerous to do. I'm not sure if the Caracal's boundary violated on purpose, but I think that they might have, just to make the match go faster.
Yeah, because there's nothing that they can do at this point.
Yeah, I think Nightmare Skating is just boundary violating as fast as possible, just to get the match over with. So, which that's true. They really need to stop boundary violating, because that will actually be the second game that Nightmare Skating issue lost, potentially due to boundary violations. Since the first one, Light Heaven boundary violated in his Rapier, and this one, Andy decided to lose one of their Barghests by driving off the cliff. So.
Yeah, that wasn't good. I think it was definitely they were doing so well. They killed all 3 Sepals for basically nothing. I mean, their Barghest got tackled there at the end, but when you've got like 2 Onyxes and 3 Sepals charging in, that's kind of to be expected. Just losing that Barghest, losing the rep bots, like losing that DPS. Like I think they could have definitely killed Ordnance Sleipnir, and like maybe there would be like 2 Barghest versus like double Sleipnir with support still intact. I think they probably would have won without boundary violating.
I definitely agree. I'm pretty sure that, they were going to lose a Barghest at some point. There's no way you're going to get away. But I think you're right. Like, they took the Feeples down. They were probably hitting reload again, or almost done reloading, and they probably could have taken a Sleipnir down with the 3 Barghest, or an Onyx, or a Scalpel. Like, they had so many possible targets, but they just chose to not have Barghests, which is really unfortunate. So Flight Deck does win their second game, so now they are up 2-0 in a best of 5. However, the Sleipnir, Onyx, Fipple, and Scalpel are all banned now for the Flight Deck, which means it is very easy to actually ban the Shield Rush out, as opposed to just kind of banning it out. So I don't think we're going to see Flight Deck bringing another Shield Rush here.
The what they call the Flight Deck team did the same thing they did in the first match, but as well they bought a 4-team setup, a 4-ship setup. So they actually don't have that, but like they do have the Slept and the Super band now, which is pretty crucial ships, as well as the Scalpel bands. But they only lost like another 4 ships, and now they just need to win one more game, right? Out of the
They
next
do.
3.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing like the flight deck seems very prepared to fight a best of 5 with the ban set up the way they are. Because like you said, like they've only lost 8 ships that they can potentially not fly. Whereas sometimes I think when we were seeing the earlier best of 3s, people were bringing like 7 or 8 different types of ships per match. So yeah, the flight deck seems very well set up for this. Like they've definitely created their comps and thought about the meta of, okay, what happens when we reach a best of 5 and we need to deal with, being able to fly only like this comp once, winning with it, and not being able to use it again.
We have also been joined here by Wingnut, who has joined us potentially on the last game or depending on how it goes, it could be not the last game.
The perfect time indeed.
The perfect time. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing alright. I didn't think I could make it. Turns out I can.
Happy
Yeah, and there was a bit of chat in the well, a bit of talk in the chat about how Onyxes were slower than Bargs. I just want to give us a public service announcement. Onyxes are actually very slightly faster. Legit, like 40 ms. Of course, everyone's going to bring links, but if they bring Sleipnirs, they bring better links, as someone else also pointed out. So, yeah, you can't outrun the Onyx, which is a really painful thought.
Well, also like Satonia said, I mean, we are in a sphere. We're in like a gigantic 125-kilometer circle, spherical circle, 3-dimensional circles that are 3D, which means that it's very difficult to actually outrun anything, even if it's slower than you. So yeah, like it's so much harder to kite them because all they have to do is turn a little bit tighter than you, and they will eventually catch you because you cannot burn in a straight line.
Don't be defeated.
Yeah, I'm
by
actually
the
loving
concept
seeing
of
all the Hicks
circles.
starting to show up for this. Like the Hick meta has been great. Starting to see them all pop up and be like this amazing tackle boat with DPS.
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
seen
it's definitely good.
broadswords earlier on in the tournament too.
Mm-hmm.
The Onyx is kind of interesting, right? Because potentially that forces you into like a bad reload. Because if you load kinetic to kill the Sleipnirs and you have like the wrong type to shoot the Onyxes.
Yeah, there's some potential there for sure. Onyx is also just an interesting ship for a lot of these comps. Like the old like Fly Killer like Rapid Light comp, the Onyx does still fit into that because it can also just fit Rapid Lights and have a 20-kilometer scram. So it's like, I'm actually loving seeing Hicks starting to become more and more lively in these tournaments. I see some awesome potential, but I don't think we'll be seeing a Devoter anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Devoters or Phoboses. I guess we could. I just don't know why you would bring a Phobos over a Deimos.
Lost the rush, I guess.
Yeah, possibly. So looking at it, a Onyx does get about, let's say, about 800 DPS heated with heavy assault missiles, and you can heat heavy assault missiles for a very long time. So it's definitely very viable. Interestingly, I was kind of looking through it, so I would think it'd be really funny if Flight Deck brings Claymore and Broadsword as a shield rush for the next match, just because that is still open for them. Because they seem to be going on all the weird off-meta shield rushes right now. Like, because the first match they did an armor rush with Damnations and Legion. The second match they did Sleipnir and Onyx. So the third match, I could see, I want Claymore and Broadsword. So if you guys are listening, make it Claymore Broadsword just for me.
Yeah, they still have a ton of armor stuff too, right? Potentially. Say that the armor core that they won in the armor ham rush that they won in the first game was like really off meta stuff. Like losing the Deacon is probably a big deal, but you still have like Vindicator, the Shack. I know they've been banned like generally. What was interesting is the bans are almost identical between those first 2 games too.
I
Well,
want to see
and
a
also-
Vulture, please. I want to see Vulture Rush.
You want to see a what?
A Vulture Rush. I want to see it.
Vulture Rush. Okay. That'd be weird.
I have big
It'd be
dreams.
crazy.
Exactly, man. It'd be crazy. It's just a Nighthawk with shorter range. And, damage locked.
And it also goes like 1k a second.
And a
Shush,
signature
shush,
size
shush.
the size of a
Don't
moon.
be spitting facts here. Don't be spitting the facts here, Titonia. Let me dream. I want to dream, damn it.
Was Flight Deck the one that brought nightmares, or was it Nightmare that brought nightmares yesterday?
I think it was Nightmare that actually bought Nightmares.
Okay, yeah, it'd be funny to see a Nightmares again, but I don't know if we will. Yeah, flight decks, their meta on the bans and the picks have been like insane for a best of 5. It's actually like something that should be worth maybe looking at and mentioning in future situations as an example of how you should play a best of 5. Even though this isn't really, it's kind of a surprise tournament for me and for us, but it's really something to think about. If you ever end up in a best of 5 situation, look at the summer Chinese tournament that was run at 5 a.m. U.S. time zone. And that's a great example of how to do it.
Hey, there's been some actual cracking matches throughout this tournament, actually. Like, just playing on the edge of the arena. I mean, we saw it a little bit, I guess, in that last match, but I guess it was accidental arena boundary violations. But just playing on the edge of the arena, I find very, very interesting just to see, if the enemy team falls into the bait of overshooting their targets and flying straight out of the arena. And it's like the action-packed match, the last Rainbow Wolves game I found was incredibly enjoyable.
Yeah, that was definitely really good. I feel like we actually did not do it justice as casters because we didn't realize how tight it was, and we could have hyped it way better. However, we did get to. I think I linked you a picture of it, which is the clip of them having their ship go down at like, I think it was almost exactly 1 second after the match ended. It was either 1 or 2 seconds, which is crazy. Like they won by a second.
You know what?
As close as you can get.
You know what I think the flight deck could do? They could just not ban Nighthawk Loki this time because they're the team that've been banning it the entire time.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if they don't want to fight a Nighthawk Loki versus Nighthawk Loki though.
Really? I mean, it seems like their piloting has been superior so far, so I'd be pretty confident going for the mirror match, especially since
as BPP said yesterday, it's a bit there's a bit of like tossing a coin when you're pulling that match. Like even some level of skill can maybe tilt it your way, but there is still some level of just pure RNG. Are your hams going to hit? Yes or no?
Well, what I was going to say, right, is like you're 2 games up, right? You can afford to take the mirror match because if you lose, then they can't bring it anymore.
Yeah, no, I actually like that idea. Just bring Nighthawk Loki, and then if you lose, just bring it again the next match and win because it's so powerful. I don't necessarily think it's like the end-all be-all comp, but I also can't really think of anything that they would lose to just with the way Flight Deck's been piloting today.
I'm actually thinking about it as well. Like if you don't ban it, they pick it and they beat you. They can't bring it, right?
Yeah, they can't bring that comp again, and then that also like basically. That basically then forces them, like, they have to then ban Nighthawk Loki the entire time, and then now you've got, like, Leshak Balgon, that core is open to you.
Yeah, and also means you can also pick other bans then. You've made them essentially ban out the ship themselves by winning in it. So now it's like, you don't have to worry about banning this. I can now ban specific things and try and, force them to certain comps. I like that. Really smart. SMRT, Sutonio. I like it.
Well, I'm sure they've already probably thought about this because they've done really good with their strategy going into the BF5 so far.
So yeah, if you're just joining us, this is potentially the last of the best of 5. We are just about 10 minutes from now, we'll be entering the 3rd game of a best of 5 with Nightmare Skating Issue versus the Flight Deck, with Flight Deck ahead now 2 games. I'm going to chuck this into a quick ad block. We'll resume our conversation shortly. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, how about the adverts for them toasters? We are back for we'll be starting the final match in about 10 minutes from now. But let's talk about next weekend. Next weekend we have the beginnings of the Alliance Tournament feeder rounds. It's going to be an action-packed weekend. We're going to be starting, I believe the first match is starting about 2 o'clock Eve time. And they run all the way into the evening until I think the final match begins about 8 o'clock game time. So lots of games to play. And really excited for getting into that. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck in. Lots of games to referee, lots of games to broadcast, lots of games, lots of tactics. There's just lots of everything. What do you think, guys?
I'm really looking forward to the feeder round. So NC Dot can lose to NSH. You know, you can have the original Sinners drama. Well, that's not going to happen though.
Dude,
There's
I'm
been
totally
some absolute
okay.
chaos of these before. There's been some absolute chaos there, and it's always been great to watch.
Yeah, if NC Dot loses to NSH, it's not my fault. I just want to make a statement there. I am playing on the NC Dot team, or have been playing with them, and I'm washing my hands of them. If they lose, if they
yeah.
win, it's thanks to me.
Everyone, just hear it now. Make sure you've clipped it. That BPP claims all responsibility if they lose. It is indeed Black Bart Pirate's fault. All
That's not
complaints
what
and
I
emails
said.
will go to him.
Your upside down Australianness is getting confused here. But yeah, no, feeders are going to be crazy. I think we're doing 19 or 20 matches on the first day alone, which is insane. Like, the popularity of people for this tournament has been crazy as well. I think, what do we have, 75 teams signing up?
75 teams signing up. Yeah, 18 matches in that first day. It's going to be, for some reason, don't ask me why, all the games on the first day, bar one, are all pre-arranged teams, and then the day 2 ones are just the winners from day 1, going against also pulled teams. So some teams going to end up playing a couple games. Some will literally just have to win one game and will be through. So it'll be very much of a bloodbath, to be honest with you.
Yeah, 51 teams enter and only 16 are going to leave.
Yep. Also, big shout out to everyone that's just joined us from Michael's Starlight stream. Thank you very much. Hi guys. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We are just waiting for the final match, well, potentially final match here for the summer tournament, summer games, the Chinese AU time zone PvP tournament. So, yeah, we're all just getting excited for the feeders next weekend as well, for the main alliance tournament soon to begin. So much tournament stuff. It is literally like the season of the tournaments now. The alliance tournament coming back. We've got this right now. Feeders next weekend. Then we have a little bit of a break. We'll probably be broadcasting a few open scrim matches over here on Eventi TV. Of course, when the alliance tournament rolls around, it will be back over onto the CCP channel. But yeah, we're hoping to be able to fit in a few scrim matches for teams that don't mind broadcasting what essentially the comps they're practicing with. So looking forward to seeing what people bring for that as well. Do you think we'll see some bits of the past, or do you think we'll see anything fresh this year? Do you think we're going to see a lot of Mordu's ships with them being the sponsor this year, or do you think they're going to end up getting banned pretty much every match?
Honestly, I kind of expect to see a lot of shield rushes just obliterating them every time.
Oh, the big thing I think as well is drone setups are back into this tournament with the now that you can bring faction drones.
Yeah, so
potentially.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so T1 drones and then just your standard Navy faction drones. There's still no geckos are allowed. Don't even try it. I will punish you. But yeah, T1 drones and faction drones allowed. So that's gonna be an interesting change. But I think what really interests me is the fact that obviously we've had little tournaments. I say little tournaments, non-alliance tournaments across the years, but obviously we've had 2-3 years worth of balance, changing a lot of ships around. So I think that overall is going to be interesting to see how that reflects in the meta of what ships we expect to see and just ban picks in general. What do you guys think?
You said it for me. It's been quite a bit of change here, but I suspect all the tournaments we've had over the last year or so is really going to like lay the groundwork there. We've sort of seen what things have changed. The old Shield Rush, like the old Sleipnir Rush, has turned into the Nighthawk Rush. Some of the old Fly Killer stuff has kind of fallen to the wayside at the moment. I want to see it come back, but like I think the meta of what we've seen so far, unless something really crazy happens, this might be pretty solid for the AT. But I've been wrong before.
Yeah, there's a few subtle point changes, right? With the Logi frigates being more expensive, kind of throws a few things, few spanners in the work. I think Tech 2 logistics are a little cheaper this year, so we might see more of that.
Yeah, we
It's
see
actually
them.
kind of weird having to say that, eh? Like saying that Tech 2 logistics has been like brought down in prices after the last ATs. It's like, wait, what? Really?
Well,
So much
mostly
has
because
changed.
of I think the logistics were about the same price, right? But it's just surgical strike kind of made them so they kind of needed to get point down a bit.
Exactly that. Yeah, it's like, oh hey, back in the last AT, I'm pretty sure T2 logistics cruises were like the king. Like that, you were the linchpin of the entire team. Now it's like you're still very damn important, but DPS is the king here at the moment.
What?
I love that point reduction.
I was interested to actually see that we had a lot during the Anger Games. We had a lot of T2 Logifrigs we used, or even just the some. We even had a couple of comps where just the T1 support frigates were also brought as well, rather than bringing extra T2 cruiser Logi. I thought was kind of interesting. Obviously, you end up having not just an extra ship, but an extra pilot. So I don't know. I've always felt that like the moment that one Logi dies, do you think one alone is enough? Or do you think it's always a case of if you can keep two alive for as long as possible, it's the like equivalent to a cruiser?
At least in my opinion, one keeps the other one alive, therefore they can both keep other ships alive. If you got down to one, if that one can stay out of the fight, it's not too bad. But honestly, in my opinion, they never really save ships on their own. The ships need to save themselves with the help of the logistics frigates. Hence, why Nighthawks are so much of a fan right now, because they can essentially just save themselves by massive resist, and then the Logifrig brings them back to full. It's DPS is your tank at the moment. Again, my opinion.
Yeah, I do think we're going to see a lot of the shield rush getting banned. Like, I hope so. Honestly, it's a little bit too powerful in my opinion. Like, it really does feel, and we're going off of this little tournament, which has the current set of changes with ships and very similar rules. There's a couple things you can fly here that you are going to have trouble, but the reality is that point costs kind of matter, but at the end of the day, they really don't, because you can always find points somewhere by just bringing Skybreakers, which cost 1 point and are really cheap. And we've just seen shield rushes just rolling anything they fought. Like, I don't think we've actually seen a shield rush lose to anything that wasn't another shield rush. So I don't know what that says about the actual, the AT-17. The points, it is a little bit harder to bring a shield rush just because command ships are a little higher points and T3s are a little higher points and logistic frigates are a little higher points, but it's very, very possible to do. So I'm expecting to see a lot of like low-key Nighthawk X bans once we get to AT-17. Unfortunately for the feeders, you only have 2 bans on each side, which makes it a lot harder. So I guess we will see how that goes. I wouldn't be surprised if the feeders is just people shield rushing each other to victory.
Speaking of bans, we just had the bans for this game, and they're identical to the previous match. So they're not actually doing what I predicted, which was to leave Nighthawk Loki unbanned and go for it themselves.
Yeah, at this point, I don't like the only real shield. Like, you could do Claymore Broadsword. Like, I could see Flight Deck bring Claymore Broadsword, and then they've officially run out of shield rush ships that are, quote unquote meta. So if they bring that, they're way ahead of the game.
And I've just seen what is due to arrive in the tournament arena very shortly. It is looking very, very interesting, I think.
Well, Bargist is still free, right? So they could do kind of what the Nightmare Scaling Issue team did last game, where they bring like triple Bargist.
Yeah,
We also have
it doesn't work. Sorry, I had to.
we still kind of have like some armor stuff open for them. They do have like the Deacon and the Sentinel that they can't bring, but and Lashak and Balgon are banned. But you still kind of have like Vindicators. Armageddon, that kind of setup we saw, I think, from the Rainbow Wolves team at the end of the third place match.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be switching over to the 10 seconds. Just waiting for these
Yeah,
last few ships to land.
we were all wrong,
Very wrong.
But
Yeah, that's not
also
expected at all.
not wrong in any way, shape, or form, because it's impossible to be wrong when you're having fun.
Oh, are we seeing triple Paladin, triple Nightmare?
We are seeing. I think they've all landed now. I think he's about to switch over, but we are seeing
here
3
we go.
Paladins against 3 Paladins.
How about this, ladies and gentlemen?
Amar victory. Holy damn.
So
just
the
double check-
big differences here is that Flight Deck has brought a Griffin. I think that's probably the biggest difference you see, right? Like the Confessors are definitely different ships than Vexors. I don't know if they're necessarily similar. I think those are Pulse Confessors, which do about 600 DPS heated, which is really scary for a destroyer.
The one thing I'm loving here is the potential of 2 Newt Vexes. They are both gunless, so they are definitely both Newting Vexes. So I can see them potentially being a big thing, or dying in seconds and meaning absolutely nothing. I want to see what happens with those guys.
Yeah, Flight Deck have slightly weaker Logi figures with the Thalias because they can't bring Deacons because they won with those already.
I think the target calling is going to be the big thing here. If they, depending on really what they're doing, and Flight Deck's actually been really smart, and they have not moved their Paladins at all. They're just sitting them at 0 and are going to try and just blast something right off the bat. A lot of target painters going out on the Thalias of Flight Deck. Looks like they're both going for a Logi trade. Both teams do have Hugins, so it's a little more viable than possible, or than you would normally think. I'm a little bit of trouble applying. Looks like the Deacon of Nightmare Skating is taking a lot of damage, though, of Boom Bro.
Speaking of application as well, the one thing that Nightmare Skating have brought that might help them out there is the Vigil. Yeah, they take one of the Thalias. The Vigil's giving extra paints as well, which actually might make the difference when it comes to killing off these small ships.
Yeah, we had the Griffin trying to jam the Hugin. Unfortunately, that's a pretty hard ship to jam, so he wasn't able to get it.
I'm surprised not trying to jam at the Paladin just to ruin their day, because after all, they are Marauders. They hate ECM.
Well, I think it's trying to jam the Hugin to unweb the Thalia, so that way it probably would survive a bit longer than jamming like a Paladin. But with the Vigil paints on it anyway, it's pretty hard to deal with. It looks like that Vigil's been caught. The Griffin's been caught too. Sorry, with the web.
Yeah, the Thalia at the moment's got an absolute massive rep drones on it now, so he hopefully, as long as he keeps his speed up, he should stay alive, no worries. At least at the moment. Then again, I say that as his armor goes down even lower, so again,
I'm
wrong.
like 90% sure that the Griffin was able to jam the Hugin, which is why that Thalia is surviving right now. Because if you see that the Hugin was only webbing the Griffin, that's usually a pretty good sign that that's happened. However, the Hugin on Nightmare Skating Issues team actually decided to ram the Paladins. And I say it in that way because he wasn't that far away. He's trying to burn away right now, but he is now tackled by the Super KK and a Vexor. So there's an opportunity to take the Hugin down. Light Heaven kind of drove straight into those Paladins on Flight Deck's team, and they were able to newt and web him down. So the webs going off of their Thalia has actually saved it thanks to the Paladin newts and the jams of the Griffin. That being said, Nightmare Skating does have both Deacons still.
There's a Confessor charging after that Griffin now too, so it looks like the Confessor's trying to get rid of that Griffin.
Just kidding. Bye, Thalia. The Hugin must have gotten unwebbed or unjammed long enough, and so now Flight Deck has no Logi versus Nightmare with Logi.
Yeah, I was like, the Hugin charging in as well. That can occasionally not be a bad idea, but unfortunately he charged into, as we said before, Newting Vexes, who just immediately just turned him off. It's like, okay, now you can
that Confessor that went after that Griffin in the back line is in trouble. He's completely away from the Deacons.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they did lose a Vexor at the same time though. So the Paladins have the ability to hit almost everything in the arena with extremely high DPS. So if you fly off too far away, they can kind of just turn and swap to you. It looks like Nightmare's going for the other Vexor, just trying to take down that ability for them to tackle and get rid of Rose attack here.
Yeah, that Confessor going after the Griffin, I think, did push him away long enough to get the Hugin unjammed, so it was still probably a good idea. Like I said, the Griffin is about to go down here. It's webbed and tile painted. It's got a Vexor scrammed. It's looking really good for Nightmare Skating.
Poor Vic Griffin. But hey, honestly, the Griffin did a pretty good job there. You can't really expect much more from a T1 frigate just running for his life. But this Vexor is still holding on in hull, and pop, there he goes.
So here's my question here. The flight deck's obviously behind. They need to probably switch their targeting a little bit. Was the vigil the thing that made the difference there, or was it that flight deck couldn't bring deacons? Because Nightmare's deacons lived, whereas the Thalia's of flight deck did not.
Potentially, but honestly, the extra application could have really made a difference. But at the same time, it could just be that Thalias are just that much more inferior.
And they
But
just
the
took the
Thalias, like,
links
did hold on
out.
for a while.
So yeah,
Yeah.
the only thing flight deck can do at this point, I think, is they need to take down a paladin, which is going to be
Yep.
very, very difficult. I think they have the DPS for it if they had swapped a little earlier, because they're clearly not taking down any of the small ships. We're actually seeing Rosemary take a ton of DPS right now on the flight deck's team.
It's too late, yeah. It's unfortunately, if they tried doing it now, they're already behind on the 8 ball and the Paladin race, so there's nothing they can do. At this point, it is over. Unless those Paladins manage like MJD and Boundary, they can't catch up.
I mean, it is Nightmare skating issue paladins. They boundaried the last 2 matches, so to be fair.
We can all hope, right? We can hope for the massive throw. I mean, just look at that Deacon. Look how much rep drones are on that guy.
Yeah, he actually just got a bunch of them smart bombed off by his own teammate, and Rosemary's close enough to be getting grapples on him now, but I think Rosemary's going to go down. Look at the self-rep on this paladin, though. Like, he has nothing keeping him up besides his own reppers, and he's actually tanking really, really well here. So maybe the Logi was bait the whole time.
Yeah, the links are about to drop off, though, in about 30 seconds, because that Ponty died about a minute and a half ago, and once the links disappear, I think he's going to die pretty quickly. There they go. You just saw, like, the massive defense bar drop.
Yeah, links are very, very strong.
As well as, like, once these laser ships get through the armor into the hull, it's like, okay, well, this is easy pickings now. Insta kill.
It is important to note that this just means the flight deck is still up 2-1 as opposed to getting a clean sweep, and it also bans Deacons, Hugins, Confessors, Vigils, Paladins, and a Magus from Nightmare Skating issue team. So, this that's
a lot of
kind
ships
of a big deal. Yeah, they just lost. I mean, losing the Hugin alone is it's honestly a really huge thing. We've been seeing a lot of really good Hugin piloting throughout this tournament. So, and yeah, Bastion module is banned, just for people who aren't aware. Obviously, if you had a Bastioned Marauder, it would probably be able to tank any 10-man team.
Yeah, interesting. Well, Confessor's being banned for them now as well. That's honestly quite interesting because they're a very common backline ship for damaging support, for killing off any Logi drones. They're very useful to have, and them being banned could actually be a pretty annoying thing at times. You have to now switch to Swipples, or maybe
Swipples
Jackals
are good. Yeah.
Yeah, but the difference I think is Swipples are way better tackle boats, whereas Confessors can be really good at just anything. They can tackle, but they can also remove small ships, remove drones. They can just be more versatile. Whereas the Swipple is just the big tackle boat that comes after you. And then it obliterates just more stuff at close range.
Yeah, Nightmare's just kind of finishing off the last couple of ships here. Interesting. Like, I don't know. I want to know if I think the Deacon versus the Thalia. I wonder if that was what it was. Like, we need to look at it, but like Satonia, there's a reason why we only see Deacons, and it's because they are just better in general. Do you think that might have been it, or do you think it was the Vigil versus the Griffin that kind of made that happen?
I think it's a bit of both. I think the Vigil definitely made a huge difference, especially since they couldn't just jam the Hugin. Like, the Vigil was just always on. I think the Confessors also played a bit of a part too, because like when we saw the Thalia just die was when like one of the Confessors just charged after the Griffin and forced him to NWD out of range. The Confessor died for it, but they were able to get the Thalia kill from it, and I think the match went from that point.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. How about those confessors? DPS, huh?
Yeah, we were talking about whether or not, like, I wish we could see the kill mails on the Thalias, because I want to know if they got taken down through the confessor damage or not, since we're talking about pulse confessors versus beam confessors. A pulse confessor does like 500 to 600 DPS depending on fit, which is pretty crazy for a little destroyer. And since they're small lizards, they apply to everything. Versus, paladins do a ton of paper DPS, but I'm not sure how well they were hitting. Obviously hitting well enough to take him down, but you'd expect it to be pretty much alpha through, right? If a pulse paladin was hitting him.
I don't know. But just for
Nice.
fun, I just did a quick bit of ciphering just to explain for everyone. A confessor, sharpshooter, 3 heat sinks, pulses do 670 DPS with conflag. So that's pretty disgusting. Of course, you have to be point blank, but that is a lot of DPS.
I probably wouldn't run like triple heatsink. I'd probably run,
Yeah.
some resist modules and a plate.
Nah,
But
mate, nah, you don't need it. Just gotta go man mode. But I do agree. I personally would prefer being just for the more versatility out of it. But that's a lot of DPS. You can essentially roleplay as a Hecate in an Amarian ship.
so, do you
Yeah,
think we're
looks
gonna
like
get
my
the
pit's
the exact same
620.
bans again?
I mean, they seem to really, like, Flight Deck seems to really not want to fight Nighthawk and Loki, and Nightmare really seems to not want to fight Leshaks and Balgorns, which is kind of weird to me. I don't know. I feel like this is the moment. Like, this is where you take the shield versus shield setup, and then whoever wins can't bring it again, and then you just run it back. Like, that's what I would do in this situation. I don't know, but I like the idea of shield rushing people. It's super aggressive, and it's so hard to fight against. Big simple brain.
Just being able to mentally keep a track of everything that's been banned and adjusting your comp around it. I kind of interested to see that if the reason why they've repeatedly banned the same comp each time is because they're just going to open it up, and then they're just going to potentially either expect them to fill that gap of making it available, or whether they were thinking of doing something similar with that fit themselves.
They continue banning this way and the other team picks, like, say they keep banning Nighthawk Loki, right? I mean, it means the main rush can't be used. But as you said before, you can bring what was it? It was Hick plus, I can't remember the other the ship, it's gone crazy. Claymore. You can just bring that instead. But if they then bring that, you now have 0 shield rush options at all. Like, full stop. Whereas if they don't ban it again and they do pick one of those, that leaves them able to pick 2 rushes in a row. Because they have 2 different ways of doing the exact same rush. If you keep it perma banned, they only have one choice, and if they use it, that's it. That's their one shot. So it kind of limits any options for bringing any other shield rushes.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of again. I just like the idea of Flight Deck just leave Nighthawk Loki unbanned. You bring it. If you lose, you've still got a game ahead, and that means they can't bring it anymore. Which essentially like gives you like an extra free bans. You can just bring it again.
Yeah, like I don't know that. Like I said, that's what I would do in this situation. Is like leave Nighthawk Loki open. Worst case scenario, we mirror match Nighthawk Loki versus Nighthawk Loki. If we lose, then we just ban Sleipnir, and like we just totally ban out the shield rush, and then just shield rush them again with Nighthawk Loki, because they won't be able to bring it. But I don't know, maybe in their internal testing they've done some stuff and are realized like, hey, like there's this counter comp that we could fly to it. Maybe I'd like to see, like, what I've seen in some practices is that you can beat the Nighthawk setup with things like Pulse Abaddons and Oracles and stuff like that, because Nighthawks are actually really slow and you can just blow them up. So it's possible. I would like to see it. I feel like that's got to be the play. That's what I would do. Like, if you're up 2-0 or 2-1, you can basically throw the next match just to force them to lose ships, like that they can fly in the finals, right?
When the 4D chess plays start to come.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying, like, you might not even lose too. You might just outfly them and just win. Like, Shield Rush versus Shield Rush, it's not RNG, but a team with better execution is going to win it. And I feel like Flight, they're a little bit better because they don't boundary.
They now entered the Casper Memorial Boundary Hall of Fame.
No, they're boundarying in like silly reasons. They're like casually drifting 1 km too far and dying. Casper at least did his like a 227 or something like that.
Yeah, he hit the jump unit and went the full distance. So that's the real challenge, right? You have to. So I've always said this as a referee that it is killing people for boundary violating. It is an amusing thing to see people try to exceed the boundary limits because you have to activate the MTU, but you have to also be going fast enough that you're gonna be close to the edge of the arena before that jump unit kicks in. But you also have to be going slow enough that you don't hit the edge of the arena before the effect goes.
Yeah, I think the theoretical max is 227, no, or a bit more than that.
It depends on where you land on the old server ticks because you can drift a little bit. But I mean, I could probably math it out that there is probably a theoretical limit depending on where you landed on the server ticks.
Just thinking it now, I think you're only going to get one server tick where you're off the board no matter what. So I think the max you go is probably the max of your speed of your ship is, unless you bring a 500 MN Daredevil or something to do it. I think that's probably about the max.
Mm-hmm.
That's about as fast as a tackle ship will ever go in these tournaments, unless you fit it for that sole role of speed. And then you need to do it perfect.
Yeah, and I would say that Skating Issue is definitely not doing it perfectly. They're not trying to get in the Hall of Fame. They're in the PL Hall of Shame. So, different spot. Hey, there's a reason why people, name a match where PL hasn't boundary violated.
Oh, I know. The first match I think of is PL boundarying 2 Sleipnirs at once, so I do agree, but it's still a burn.
I did find a fantastic match in the previous. I was going through I was thinking about making a best of compilation, and I posted it actually in the Alliance Tournament Discord the other day, where the entire team boundary violated when they were following their FC. They anchored on them and just literally went straight out of the arena.
Oh yeah, that was one of the Imperium alliances, right? I think it was TNT or something like that.
No, this one a Legio team, I think it was, and they were playing Men Without Hats against Men Without Hats.
They're probably Imperium nowadays.
They were winning pretty hard too, and they just boundary violated everything. So they anchored up on one guy.
When your anchor forgets to not turn.
Oops.
Very sad. Big
bumped.
sad.
Or keeps getting bumped by the guys behind him.
No, they were kiting off in a straight line. I remember the match is really funny because I think they were doing something weird where it was Gilas and Cerberuses or some kind of strange kiting comp, and they were just totally stomping, and then they lost 5 ships in the space of 3 seconds to just boundering. It was cool. I think it was the AT where TT drones were allowed again, and so people were like, "Let's fly Gilas."
Heals are totally not OP whatsoever. Yes.
Yeah, they're not bad. Not great.
Let me see if I can find the match. We can put it up here between. We are due to have the people arriving in the system in the next 5-10 minutes or so. The match is due to start in about the next 10 minutes. So, if you're just joining us, we are round 4 now, is it, guys? We have 2 wins on one side, 1 win on the other. Yeah, that would make it round 4. Of Nightmare Skating Issue versus the Flight Deck, with the Flight Deck just ahead. 2 points for now. General how's your weekend going, guys?
Pretty good. Watching spaceships blow up is always fun.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of funny the Flight Deck, even though they've won an extra game, actually have the same amount of ships banned, just because the Paladin comp having 8 different ships in it.
It's a real thing. Like I said, Flight Deck seemed prepared for this. Whether or not that ends up mattering will be interesting, but yeah, my weekend's doing great. By the way, I woke up at 4:50 a.m. for this 2 days in a row now.
Woo.
It's
Now you know how it
fantastic.
feels like to be me.
I would never want to know what it's like to be you.
Oof.
Mate, it's one hell of a ride, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, Australian time zone, like, no matter what you do for the AT, it sucks. You're either staying up really late or you're waking up super early, which is unfortunate. But hey, that's why there's the Eve Summer Tournament. Like, this one, it's probably what was it, like 10, 11 p.m. your time right now?
Tell you what, I'll let everyone here a moment guess. What's the time right now where I am without looking it up? Go.
2 o'clock in the morning.
All right, Suit.
For me, it is. It's about to go to 4 o'clock. The UK is
guess what
only
time it is for me.
1 hour ahead of the server, so it's not that bad.
Guess what time it is here. Guess what time it is for me at the moment.
I'm gonna guess 4 a.m.
Nope, you're all bloody wrong. It is midnight. Technically, actually, it's 12:20.
It's not too bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's okay.
because I'm in a weird
terrible.
half time zone.
Ooh, one of those time zones.
And even
Okay,
better,
so
technically,
in
it's only
China,
scheduled
it's
when
like 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. right now. Then that's still kind of late.
Hey, guys in chat know where from. You bloody legends, mate.
Hey, there we go.
Ah,
I did just manage to find that that match. I'm just gonna quickly throw it up on the stream just for amusement purposes for everyone. Hopefully this works.
yes.
So the Legio Astaras team, as you are about to see, amusingly, the entire team just boom, 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 boom. Bit of an oops
Oh
mob.
no! Yep, and yeah,
Their entire team.
Just boundary violated. I absolutely love it. Let it loop one more time while we're chatting here, waiting for these last bands to come in. for
looking at
next-
it, seeing it again, I'm pretty sure they were gonna lose anyways. Because like, look how close those Vindicators are to him. But yeah, that's a real way to go out. I didn't realize they
know, right?
boundaried the entire team. I thought it was like half of it.
The entire team is great.
I think you're thinking of a different match. There was another match where like half the team boundary violated. I think it was FCON or another team where they were doing Cerberuses or something, and they were all anchoring up onto one Cerb, and the one Cerb like went out the arena, and like a bunch more went out, and then the rest like kind of just like drifted off into space because they were orbiting at like 500 or something.
Good times.
There's been a
I'm sure
few
we're gonna
matches.
see that. Yeah, I mean, Feeders is gonna be crazy. Like, just gonna see some wild stuff.
Is there footage of Casper's legendary boundary? Unfortunately not. I was refereeing that particular match, so I declared what the actual distance was in local to make it official. But no, unfortunately, when I am refereeing, I do not record the matches.
Yeah, we'd have to find the. It should have been streamed because it was during
Yeah.
the AO, but which match it was, I mean, there's like what 75 or 80 matches during the AO, so finding that would be a process that we can't get done in the next 7 minutes unless somebody happens to know exactly which one it was. Someone at DM Casper 24, he's probably got it like
Saved locally for
Saved,
immediate pull
yeah.
up. Yep. Watch me go.
It's me.
He's got playing forever on his bloody background on his computer. It just never ends.
Constant loop of boundary
He
violation.
bought like a really thin TV and he has it up on his wall playing that on loop. Is like, it's like Harry Potter style, moving pictures.
Oh no.
Would be perfect.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes before the next match, right? So just to go over like a recap, Flight Deck have won 2 games, Nightmare Skating have won 1 game. It's a best of 5 series. So this next match could be the last match. If Flight Deck wins, they'll be 3-1 and they'll win the tournament. If Nightmare Skating wins, it'll be 2-2 and they'll go to a final match. Flight Deck have won with a Damnation Legion Deacon Sentinel team, so that's actually banned. They can't bring it again. Any team that you win with, you can't bring again. They also won with a Sleipnir Rush that had a Sleipnir Onyx Scalpel Sweeper win, so they can't bring those 8 ships. They can't bring Damnation Legion Deacon Sentinel, Sleipnir Onyx Scalpel, or the Sweeple. Nightmare Skating won the last match with a Paladin comp, so they can't bring Paladin, Hugin, Confessor, Vigil, Deacon, Magus.
curiosity, Satoni, can you copy that and put it into Twitch chat for everyone, just so everyone can see it easily? Because that is a hell of a list. I
Yeah,
wouldn't have forgotten
so I was
half of
just
them.
It's not even that bad of a list either, because like the flight deck team actually won with like 4 ships in both their games.
I just love to see how like one of the team's just comp creator, I guess, a spreadsheet, how you like just deal with bringing a comp or what you're gonna bring when you have so many bans.
He's just pulling his hair out, screaming like,
Yeah,
"Why?"
exactly.
Maybe that's why they've
Yeah,
just been
that's-
banning the same stuff over and over again. It's just they don't have to like rework their spreadsheet or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think,
it's a
like,
real
most people
thing.
do have
They
some,
have
like, backup
20
plan.
minutes between matches here. Like, that's somebody was saying, like, oh, are there going to be matches? Well, so each team is getting about 20 minutes to be given a set of bans, having, 8 to like almost like I'd say probably 12, 13, 14 ships that they can't bring and having to like mash a comp together. So, yeah, you plan for it, but there's still a level of randomness. It's really, really stressful to get this stuff figured out on the fly.
Yeah, like
Generally,
the
you
first
have about 45 minutes to an hour to figure it out, and these guys are getting maybe 20 at best.
So yeah, like the first like 1 or 2, right? Like you get maybe like 5 to 7 ships banned. That's already bad enough. You've got plans for like certain ships to be replaced by other ships. But then when you get past the double digits, it starts going like, well, wait a minute, we've got both of them gone. We have to pick something else. We can't bring this a comp without this ship. Oh god, what are we gonna do? And then once again, the Python guy is starting to rip his hair out, screaming like, "What have you done to me?"
Well, you have to have setups. Like almost every single ship is interchangeable with another ship to a certain degree. I wouldn't say that like Bargist, there's not really anything that's similar to a Bargist just because of the way it works. Like you'd say, oh yeah, well you could bring a rapid heavy Typhoon fleet or a rapid heavy Navy Scorpion, but it's nowhere near the same. But with that exception, off the top of my head, most ships have something that they are similar to that you can slot in, which is something we've actually been seeing with these ham rushes by Flight Deck, where it's like, okay, well they brought a Damnation Legion, which is similar to bringing like a Tengu and a Nighthawk, which is similar to a Sleipnir, et cetera, et cetera. But the teams did actually just get moved into system, so soon the mystery of what they are bringing shall be revealed to all of us.
The bans
We have the
sheet.
bans up in
Yeah.
the spreadsheet now. So the bans are almost identical. So actually, Flight Deck have banned Nightmare Loki Sentinel again, just banning that the Nightmare Loki Shield Rush. But Nightmare Scanning actually have changed their bans slightly. So previously they did Leshak Balgon Curse in every game. Now they've changed to Leshak Vargas Paladin.
No, no Curse or Balgon ban. Are both of them like unbanned together? That could be very interesting. I don't know if you ever bring a Curse and a Balgon, but if you did, that'd be maximum suck.
But yeah, there's definitely some armor comps available, right? Like double Vindy Balgon that we've seen a few times in this tournament. That armor core team is available. Both teams can't bring a Deacon, so they'd have to go failure with those.
I got some hopes. I want to see a Curse.
I'm interested why you submit Paladin as a ban when both sides put Paladins the last game, so it would have been banned as part of the comp anyway.
Well, the Nightmare Scan team won with it, right? So they can't bring it, but Flight Deck could bring
yes,
it.
of course,
so,
yeah.
So I guess they don't want Flight Deck to bring the Paladin comp. It's kind of interesting that they changed their bans though, so that probably means they might want to bring a Balgon or a Curse.
I want to see
Yeah,
Balgon and
I'd
Curse.
expect Balgorn something like maybe that's their plan is like a weird Newt control like Balgorn Curse Vindicator or something like that, which sounds really disgusting to think about. Actually, it's like hope you don't have capacitor or hope you don't need capacitor because you're not going to have it.
Oh, that idea alone is already disgusting. You're trying to run away from a Vindicator chasing you with extreme glee, and you're being neutered from 2 different ships.
And we also
That
have
capacitor
Bard.
dies once you die. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think we're probably going to see an armor core team then. Flight Deck could bring a shield rush, but we only really have like the Claymore broadsword stuff left, as you've mentioned, because Bargus is banned, unless we're seeing like Rattlesnake Widows or something like that.
We
Oh snap!
were seeing the teams being moved into a local, but one of them has just been moved back as apparently they forgot to fit something to their ship, and because it is just that close to the match start time, they have been sent back to the station to be given the opportunity to fit the missing module. They didn't say what it was, just that something was missing.
Funny thing though, that's how I won the the Invasion World Tour in Australia, in Adelaide. No, Adelaide, Sydney, sorry. The other team didn't fit ammo in their guns.
What?
Ah,
I still
that
think
was so good, man.
one of my favorites of the past was I can genuinely not remember what ship it was, but I remember undersized prop mods have been a thing in the past where people have bought the wrong size afterburner. They bought frigate size afterburners and put them on cruisers and done a bit of a whoops.
Yeah, 5 men on a scimitar, I think it was.
Exactly that. It happens. But it is going to be so close between the matches for the feeders that people are not going to really get that opportunity. They have to be ready to be moved into the arena. They have to have their ship checks. There's a lot of scrutinization when it comes to the AT matches. So you forget something and you're brought to the arena. Unfortunately, it's when your time is up, your time is up. The pressure is indeed on.
So I'm just looking forward to it so much. It's going to be such chaos.
The first weekend, as I say, is going to be an absolute bloodbath with the cadence of the matches, the number of people that are going to be joining us, and then just eliminated in that first weekend is going to be absolutely bananas.
Yeah, welcome to the Alliance tournament, and you're gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is even more brutal than the feeder round in AT15, because that bracket was a bit different. It was a bit weird, where like you had to have a positive record. It's like if you won your first game, you got through, but if you lost, you had to win. Like you got like 2 more games. You had to win both of those. With this, it's just like straight best of ones, so you just completely gone if you lose any game.
Welcome to the Alliance tournament. Goodbye from the Alliance tournament.
Yeah, there's some pretty good matches coming up too, right? Like I'm really looking forward to the Brave versus Bright Side of Death match, because both of those teams have done pretty well before. So that's like a pretty hardcore match.
And some of these like unknown teams as well, they're gonna have to bring essentially their best just to make it to the actual tournament themselves, because you pretty much want to make it into the best of 32. So they're just gonna bring whatever they've got, like whatever your best comp is, you have to just bring it, which is unfortunate because it means obviously the more seasoned teams will have their best comps ready to go and waiting, and you already know what the other teams brought. But you got to do it sometimes. You got to make it in. You got to make your name at least once. I can't wait to see who actually pulls that off.
It's nice to get it.
Some crazy stuff.
It's nice to get it under your belt to say. I mean, even just participating. Unfortunately, even if you knock out in the feeders round, I feel it's a nice experience. Of course, if you do eventually get high enough, you will hopefully be rewarded with a medal, or at least something even from your corporation or your alliance just for participating. You are out there representing, potentially big groups or even small groups. So, even if you don't make it far enough to be given something by CCP, then hopefully you will at least be acknowledged by the alliance and the corporation that you're representing.
I'm still missing my AT16 medal, by the way, at CCP.
Yeah, I saw it. I heard. There's a few of those still missing.
CCP. Yeah, and I think so obviously feeders aren't going to have a reward, correct?
I don't know. They might flag for the modest victory skins, but I could be wrong there. I don't think so, right?
CCP Aurora gets the message.
And again, as always, thank you to Aurora for all the work. If it wasn't for Aurora, this would not be happening, and we'd not be so excited.
Sorry, guys, we're just still continuing to have a few issues in the back here. We did bring in one team, and then as the other team was brought in, only half of the team came in for whatever reason. So we are just
I figured it out. So I do not speak Chinese. However, Google Translate does, and General Stargazer does speak Chinese, but he can't read it apparently. He knows what I'm talking about. So the team that got teleported out, when they teleported back in, it looks like they changed their comp, which is sketchy.
Very
AF. And when they changed it, they actually were over points. So they just got teleported back out again and are, I would guess, changing it one more time. And they now just got teleported in and have switched it. And now there is the proper number of people in local on both sides, which is good. And let me see what else they're saying. Google Translate very strong. The referee said this is your last chance to not screw up, or we're going to just run you with 6 people. Looks like they figured it out correctly. And now both teams are in the arena and have been told to warp. So we've done it.
Woohoo! Yeah,
Success!
it's worth noting, even though the team was brought in, they are out of scan range of the other team, so there is no way, at least even if you're just hanging in the system, to see what the comp is of the enemy team, unless it is somehow leaked to you by someone on the enemy team. But yeah, that there is, even if they change the comp, because they suspected the enemy team of bringing something, at least the game does not provide you with that information. So it'd be interesting to see what they end up bringing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird stuff. We're usually pretty good about making sure this kind of thing does not happen. Obviously, sometimes we count to 4 when we should have counted to 3, but besides that, pretty strong and very, very skilled tournament running team here.
Wow.
What the heck is this?
Oh,
this is
wow.
garbage.
I
Oh
was
my.
not expecting to see this. Holy. We're just
So-
going to hype everything up while the people
We
watching
have
can't see.
one team that has landed on the arena so far, and half of the other team. So we'll be switching over to the arena cam in just a few moments here. Once they have
We get
all
the inside
landed.
scoop where you guys can't see it, so we're just going to enjoy looking at the
I hate you guys because I don't have a Funicum account right now because I'm not an ET team, so I can't
It's
see it.
Kestrels, Setonia. They're bringing Kestrels.
Lots of cash.
I doubt that.
Like 10 Kestrels.
I doubt that too.
10 on 10 Kestrel.
I mean, if they want to fly to Volta, then they.
Uh,
All right, it does look like everybody is here now. So
just waiting for them to set out out of warp so I can lock. Here we go. Okay, switching over to camera now.
This is going to be a very, very interesting fight.
yeah, it's
Oh,
definitely
wow.
weird. So the flight tech is actually bringing a curse control comp that looks pretty good against what Nightmare has, assuming those curses are in fact missile guidance disrupted. I'm not gonna lie, if I don't see any tracking disruptors come out of them, I'm gonna call shenanigans. Just saying. They are Torp. That is a Torp Scorpion Navy issue, just so you guys are aware, and a Torp Golem. So yeah, very weird. We got a Torpedo Golem Scorpion Navy issue and some stealth bombers versus Double Absolution with curses.
I guess they were expecting more battleships, but they found exactly 0.
What I find interesting, right, is Nightmare Skating issue. They unbanned the curse and the Balgorn, but then they brought the Shield Rush setup. So was that like a debate, or
I'm not
were they expecting
sure.
to fight curses and they wanted to fight them?
I guess, but if you're expecting to fight curses, bringing torpedo ships is not necessarily the greatest idea. They are doing a pretty good chunk of damage to Alternative, but like imagine if Alternative was a battleship, you'd probably be dead already.
Yeah, but as well, both teams brought Tech 2 logistics cruisers as well. And instead of bringing this support ships of curses, they brought just more DPS. And that actually might work with them bringing against again, both Tech 2 logistics cruisers. That might actually play out pretty well for them.
Yeah. Also, I think this is the first time we've seen stealth bombers. So that's pretty interesting. Stealth bombers do a ton of DPS if they're able to apply, which I feel like they should be able to, right? Like there's Alternative is like grappled down to 40 MS and target painted. So I don't know. We'll see. Tech 2 Logistics reps so strong though. Like we're used to seeing stuff just die because it's getting repped by Logi frigates. A Tech 2 Logistic is significantly stronger.
Yeah, I think these Fipples on the Nightmare Skating issue team need to start removing these rep drones, to be honest. There are so many on the Absolution, plus the Tech 2 reps from the Oneros. They gotta go. You gotta get rid of them ASAP. This guy's gotta die before your bombers do.
Well, and Flight Deck has actually got their Confessor onto the Hound of Mariah, and I'm guessing he's going to take him down right now. We are seeing he is a Pulse Confessor, and he is destroying him with Conflag. So they're having to split reps right now, which I think is why Benji's dropping so fast. And I think they just need to sacrifice this Hound and get Benji back topped up, because if you lose the Scorpion Navy issue, that's so huge.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, if they lose the Hound without killing anything, that's just not looking good. You've lost a big chunk of your advantage. They have to kill something ASAP.
Yeah, I think the curses are doing such a good job. Like if you all of the missile guidance disruptors are on the Scorpion Navy issue and the Golem, and the Hound does go down, and the Scorpion Navy issue is dropping as well. So this Basilisk is struggling to keep him alive right here, and he's not doing a particularly great job of it.
Yeah, one thing that's quite amusing to me is there's actually armor rep bots on the
On the
Basilisk.
Bassi.
Yeah,
I
on
saw
the
that.
Musketing issue.
Well, the Bassie's also being neuted out by a curse now, so I think that's the biggest reason. Like he's getting reps, but curse newts are so disgustingly
Oh
strong.
no! Do you know something painful? The Golem just got to the Absol to remove those rep drones as the Scorpion Navy's about to die. Oh, that is heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Just
and with
too
those
late.
curses on that Basilisk, like both curses are actually sitting on top of him now. So the Basilisk is going to be pretty much doing nothing. I don't think you can keep your reps. Don't think you can keep your capacitor going through two curses. Like no matter how good you are at cap boosting.
That's just that hurts that hurts my heart so much. The Bassi can't do anything. The Golem arrived too late. Your bombers are slowly exploding. It's just oh man, that is a heartbreaking fight.
Yeah, the Vengeances and the Confessor of Flight Deck are doing a really good job just running around in the back line and taking out the bombers right now. Like I said, there's nothing as Basilisk can do. He's got two curses neuting him out. Like the only thing I think that Nightmare could possibly do is maybe try and take a curse out. They are relatively squishy ships, but with torpedoes and the fact that I'm guessing that Golem now has at least 2, if not 4 guidance disruptors on him, like what's the range of him? Like 10 km maybe?
That's if they're doing yeah. That's just gonna hurt.
Man, the like not banning the curse and bringing this comp seems very sus to me.
Yeah, I don't know what you would expect. Like, why would you ever bring missiles if somebody has curses up?
In my opinion as well, then setting up for a battleship comp as well, because you brought bombers, you're tending to fight battleships. I don't know about that. I don't see the point there.
You know, maybe they just weren't ready to see this. Like, I think that Nightmare Skating issue, their setup would do so much damage. Like, you're correct if they had battleships. And then Flight Deck was like, what if we bring battle cruisers instead? That's some big brain stuff. Like, maybe Nightmare had this idea of setting up this, 5,000 DPS anti-battleship setup. And the Flight Deck was just like, yeah, but we don't have battleships, so
Yeah,
what
but
are you
if
gonna do
Flight
about
Deck
it?
saw the bombers coming, that's like a million D chest. Like they've got the galaxy brain going there. There's no, I don't see any way you'd expect a bomber rush. Surely not.
No, I wasn't expecting to see bombers at all. Yeah, Curse is a very strong ship. I firmly believe that it is actually the best ship in the game for the Alliance tournament, and will continue to do so until I see Curses not perform well. Yeah, those those guidance disruptors on torpedoes, like
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is like they were trying to bait them to bring like double Vindy Battle Curse or something like that.
yeah, no, I think you were right, because they left the Balgorn open, and we've seen people flying these Vindicator Balgorn comps, and I'm pretty sure Nightmare would have just destroyed a double Vindicator setup.
So what do you guys think? They might have missed them. Honestly, like even then, it doesn't make sense because they banned the Paladin. That's a ship you can actually kill with bombers.
Well,
you can kill
Paladin
a
Strike
Vindicator
Bomber
too.
is pretty hard though, right?
Yeah,
Oh
but I
yeah,
mean, you've got bombers to
absolutely.
kill the Paladin back, so it's that kind of trades reasonably well compared to letting the curse through. At least ban the curse. You let the Balgon through, just ban the curse.
I think you'd literally feed bombers to paladins, and it would be embarrassing if they brought it. I think Satoni is right that Nightmare was trying to bait out like a Vindicator Balgorn setup and then just bring a ton of Torp DPS to kill him. And then they just got, I don't know, either Flight Deck is like extremely big brain, or they just, they knew what they were going to bring. Because, I mean, come on, like the setup that they brought is the ultimate anti-missile setup. Look at that. It's like 2 curses, bunch of small
Yes, the
tackle, a
control
Griffin.
setup too.
Yeah.
I actually think as well, like their comp is like ridiculously short. If they decided to, if they felt they needed to, they could have turned around and just started running. and just use the curse to nuke out anything chasing, kill it, and just keep moving. If they ever needed to do that, they had the comp to do it. So this is actually just a really good comp in general, as far as I'm concerned. You have the choice.
Yeah, it is definitely pretty good. At least versus what they had. I think that, like, imagine this versus, like, if they had brought battleships instead of the blaster autocannon variety or something, some kind of short range DPS battleship, and just fragged the absolutions right off the bat, it could have gone differently. But Flight Deck does actually win this 3-1 by pretty much doing some really intelligent meta plays. I think we're gonna go to ads real quick and then maybe do a quick ending, or are we just gonna skip the ads? We can skip the ads. You know what? Screw the ads. We don't need those. Quaff already has plenty of money. They take all of it. The corporations, man.
Don't need those in.
Yeah, that's a really good best of 5. I loved everything Flight Deck did the entire time. I think that I hate to say it, but also I don't know who these people are, and they're probably not going to be able to DM me. So I think Flight Deck just completely outplayed every single series, with the exception of maybe that third one, and even there, that was super close.
Yeah, it kind of feels like more like the limitations they had on like not being able to bring deacons played more of a role there than like the piloting.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking there too. Obviously, without seeing the damage, we won't know if it was I brought deacons, you brought Thalias, we won because you brought Thalias, or if it was the Vigil that did it, or if it was just lucky shots. But like, Flight Deck came into this prepared to do a best of 5. Like, you could see from the first 2 matches, they were ready for a best of 5.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that Nightmare Scaling issue kind of whiffed the first 2 games based on like big piloting errors with the boundary violations, because potentially those could have been like pretty close games or even winnable for them.
I was going to say as well that Flight Deck also outplayed all the commentators as well by not changing their bans at all.
Yeah, well, we were thinking of something cool, and then they actually brought something cooler, which I'm glad we didn't see Shield Rush versus Shield Rush, because this is way more interesting. We've seen Shield Rush versus Shield Rush so many times already that it's like, all right, cool. That was way more interesting.
Seeing like an old school like Bomber versus Tech 2 Logistics stuff, like seeing the whole Tech 2 Logistics ball come back, the Shield battleships. I'm so glad to see that come back, at least even if it's just for one match. That was so fun to watch.
Now, I will say that if Nightmare Skating Issue had brought a Sleipnir Broadsword Rush, they would have absolutely destroyed Flight Deck in that last match. So, maybe we were right about something here, right? Like, I think at some point the Shield Rush needed to come out just for the sake of bringing him, because it's so strong. But yeah, seeing like an actual full out armor control setup, that's super cool. Like, that's something we haven't really seen a lot. This specifically because of the ubiquity of the Shield Rush. So I really like that. It's good stuff. Good job, Flight Deck. Like, gave us a really good show.
Yeah, and on that note, I will say, well done to Flight Deck. Top position, followed by Nightmare Skating Issue, and then Rainbow Wolves finishing in 3rd. And that is pretty much going to conclude at least our broadcast of the summer tournament. And this is pretty much coming to a conclusion now. It has been a entertaining set of weekends to watch. I have really enjoyed watching it. There's been some fantastic plays. Big thanks to everyone who joined me throughout this entire thing, and obviously Bay yesterday. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. They've helped me out mentally to be able to, bounce off you guys. Well, you guys do the bulk of the conversation, and me chuck in the occasional comments here and there. But yes, next weekend, Feeders Tournament begins for the Alliance Tournament. The Feeders rounds begin for the Alliance Tournament, so we will probably be starting the broadcast for that around 13:30, maybe 13:45 for Eve time for that. So we hope to see you then. As for now, any final thoughts, everyone? I'll give you your opportunity.
AT hype, boys. Yee!
You, Tony?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait for the feeder rounds. Just 6 more days to go, right?
Countdown begins. And Blackbot?
I'll see all of you there, because I will be there in so many ways.
Heck yeah.
It's going to be beautiful.
It is indeed.
Yeah, we're also going to be doing like a pre-show on Event T like the night before as well. I think you're going to be there, right?
Yeah,
Bob?
hopefully between like now and then, we're gonna have a couple of shows on here. We might see if we can arrange a couple of open shows for a couple of the teams if they want to do any open scrims, so we get to see a couple of free matches, and then yeah, we'll have a talk show as well just before the actual weekends to discuss some of the lineups, matchups, see what it is on a grander scheme of everything going on in the universe. See how they actually match up pedigree wise as well. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I guess just for the sake of pre-hyping, from what I understand, it's around like 1920, 2100 Eve time on Friday night. The exact time, probably closer to 2000, but I don't know. And we're just going to do a little pre-tournament panel show, talk about the feeders, probably shit talk a bunch of teams, and be like, haha, I think this guy's going to lose, this guy's going to win, be horribly wrong about most of it. Standard stuff.
Yep. It's all theory crafting at the end of the day. But yeah, chuck a follow into the channel. As I say, we'll be doing those throughout the week. So if you're interested in any of that, chuck a follow to the channel and you're here when we're going live. Or alternatively, I'll stick a link in the chat in a second for the Event Discord. No doubt we'll be announcing when we're going live on there as well. So hopefully we'll see you all sometime again in this coming week. As for now, I'm gonna chuck us to a thanks for watching screen, and then I'm probably gonna chuck us a raid over to, I believe Pando is just starting to stream, so I'm probably gonna chuck a raid over to him. This has been Event. I have been General Stargazer, and until next time, ladies and gentlemen, adios.